Yeehaw, alive. Hi, guys.
Visit your LDV dealer for a test drive today. LDV, bring it on. This week's show, I want to let you know we're doing a 25% discount for orchestra level seating at Squatchella. This is in honor of Father's
Hey, Diane,
Day.
good to see
All
you.
you got to do is go to squatchella.com and use promo code
Diane, I got home late yesterday. I couldn't go. That's why I didn't stream. I got home too late.
Squatchella is. It is a live show with 4 of your favorite podcasts in Nashville, Tennessee. Blurry Creatures, Expanded Perspectives, Ninjas Are Butterflies, and The Confessionals, all live on stage doing our shows in front of a live audience. We are going to have special guests, Timothy Albino and Ashton Forbes, there as well.
Yeah.
If you want your tickets to this once-in-a-lifetime event,
Hey, Johnny, good to see you.
and use promo code BigfootDad to get your 25% off.
Merkel Media.
This was all circulating around the base that a giant had been killed, but no one was supposed to talk about it.
I saw 3 long bony fingers reach up underneath the door, curl up to grab it, and then disappear.
When he came over to me, dude, he slithered over to me.
And this giant comes out of the cave, and they're all frozen. And he starts running and firing at this giant. When the giant moves, he's got a spear in one hand, and he's running really fast. And spears Dan and holds him up like this. Somebody yells, shoot him in the face, shoot him in the face. They basically decapitate him.
Got person, when he's got about 15 yards away from me. Not ready to plug this, not plug this head on.
I feel something pulling at my leg, and I look over, and there are 2 small gray entities pulling it.
Hey, guys, I saw on the news this morning, like about an hour ago. I'm not sure which state in America, but and I'm not sure who's doing it. But I think it's a prosecutor. He's up there saying they've caught election fraud, and it's really big news. I don't know if you heard about it yet.
And they're literally, I'm getting pulled off the bed. I reached my hand into this bush, and I
See if I can find it.
couldn't breathe, and I couldn't move because I know I'm seeing a monster.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Listening to the Confessionals podcast. I'm your host, Tony Merkel. Thanks for being here. If you have a crazy, wild experience you want to share with me on the show, go ahead and shoot me an email. My email address is contact@theconfessionalspodcast.com. That's contact@theconfessionalspodcast.com. Or go to the website, theconfessionalspodcast.com, hit the contact section, and you can reach me that way as well. It works for me. Just get a hold of me. If you want more shows on a weekly basis, we got you covered. Every Thursday, we drop a bonus show for members only on the app and on YouTube. 2 different locations, but it is the same content no matter where you sign up, whether it's YouTube or on our website, which gets you access to the Confessionals members app. 2 different locations, same content. Also, go ahead and check out Sasquatch and the Missing Man.
He also went on Roger someone's podcast. Some big, what's his name? Joe Rogan, I think it is. He went on Joe Rogan's podcast yesterday, apparently.
And available now exclusively at merkelfilms.com. Many people have been wanting to watch it. They missed the world premiere. Well, now's your chance. It is now available at merkelfilms.com. Sasquatch and the Missing Man. Me and the team went out to Washington to hunt the Sasquatch with Wes Gerber from Sasquatch Chronicles at his infamous encounter location, Ground Zero. And a lot of wild stuff happened, including uncovering a missing person case. So if you didn't watch the world premiere and you want to watch it now, you can go ahead right now at merkelfilms.com. It's available on demand. And last but not least, we have merkmerch.com. That's the brand new Merkel Media apparel line offered at merkmerch.com, MERKMERCH.com. We have 4 designs in there and a hat, and more designs to come at merkmerch.com. All right, today we have Julie Lopez coming on the show, and Julie is a former witch that came on the show to talk about warfare in the spiritual realm. She went through a lot of things. She lays it all out on this show. I had a great conversation with Julie, and I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Let's get to Julie right now. All right, today we have Julie Lopez on the show. Julie, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for your invitation.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're here. I'm not exactly sure where I first stumbled across your work. Since stumbling across your work, you've been constantly randomly popping up on my Instagram page and things like that. And I remember reaching out to you, and I'm really glad to have you on today.
I'll do that now, that Ty Green one. It's only 2 minutes long.
So I don't usually get nervous. And I notice my palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. Let me tell you, your vote is going to matter. Because we know this election is going to be tight. This election is going to be tight.
Oh,
We're actually on
Lotus for oh, that does make sense now. Wow.
one team.
Wow, this is stunning.
This is a special edition of Nightline. We're taking a look at the election that shocked the world. Donald J. Trump, a real estate magnate and reality star with zero government or military experience, will soon be our 45th president. How did he pull this off? Why did so many pundits and pollsters fail to see it coming? And what happens next?
Plunge war coverage. Oh. Wow, every time he speaks, he does the triangle. Wow.
They said he couldn't do it. They said he wasn't qualified. Even the polls seemed to give him no chance. But early this morning,
President-elect of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
Fool me once. Shame on you. If fool me, can't get fooled again.
Wow, that was pretty amazing.
Long-lasting products for sustainable cleaning. Vileda. It feels great to feel at home.
Need to tow or carry heavy loads? For a better journey, upgrade your suspension and brakes with Petters.
I'm glad you're here. I'm not exactly sure where I first stumbled across your work. Since stumbling
Oh, here
across
we
your work,
go.
you've been constantly randomly
Yeah.
popping up on my Instagram page and things like that. And I remember reaching out to you, and I'm really glad to have you on today. Since I reached out to you and scheduled with you, I saw you popping up on different people's shows, and so I'm really excited about having you on this show today. And you and I
Oh,
spent some time kind of laying the groundwork as to where we're going today.
like on that compass symbol the Masons used, got you 100%.
You are a former witch, and you have a story to share about how not only is this not, it's not something that you woke up one day and decided, hey, I'm going to become a witch. Like some people do that, you know, they stumble into it and they decide to start pursuing it. But this was a generational thing for you, that it wasn't even a matter of a decision, but just a lifestyle, it seems like, correct?
Yes, yes. So what I said to people is that I believe my story is real because I didn't learn it in a book. And I know there's a lot of people that learn it and they experience things. But for me, like my whole family was involved in this. Generations, 4 or 5 generations of my grandmother, great grandmother, my mom, all of us were actually doing witchcraft. And so it was part of our lifestyle.
Yes. Yeah, and I find that when people have that kind of involvement in it, it's not really a starting point, but for you, it definitely is an ending point. Do you know where it all started, though? I mean, as far as the family history goes, who brought that into your family's generations of witchcraft?
So we don't actually know, and we believe it can potentially go even like years through my ancestors. The last thing that I know is that my great grandmother, she had this gift, and so she was the one that was actively doing it in our family, and then she trained my grandmother, then my mom, and then my mom was training me, and then but we believe that's coming from even farther. So it didn't start with her. So we are talking about, who knows, maybe 5, 6, 7 generations. We don't know.
Wow, that's a lot of generations to push back against. What did that look like for you? Your involvement? Did you start out in a young age and doing this, or like at what point did you go from seeing your grandmother, your mother involvement to your involvement? What did that look like for you?
So for me, since a really young age, so since I remember maybe like 2 or 3, the first experience that I remember was my great grandmother actually taking me to a man, and they put me inside of a ring of fire. And I was really young. I just remember myself being inside of this circle and both of them doing things to me. And but for me, that was normal. Like I didn't growing up, I never thought, oh, this is witchcraft or this is weird, because when you grow up doing certain things, they become part of your culture and they become part of your DNA. So for me, growing up, seeing my mom, because by the point I was born, my great grandmother was already 70 years. So she wouldn't be that involved in witchcraft as much, but she will still do certain things. But for me, growing up, that involved me seeing my mother doing rituals, doing the cleansings of the
What's that
house,
one?
doing all of the things to us, and having friends that were witches and doing rituals. And then when I became a teenager, that's when I started to be like more involved in that.
Hmm. So you said that this ring of fire. I find what kind of witchcraft is that, and what did that whole ritual? What was the purpose behind that ritual? Do you know?
Good question.
So at this point, I never asked my great grandmother, to be honest, but I know that rings of fire could mean different things. If it's made with leaves, with different things, it could be for protection, but also for initiation. So my great grandmother, I mean, maybe they were initiating me at that point, and I started to experience so many spiritual experiences from that point, that I could see darkness, but I could also see angels. And my family weren't even Christians, so it's not like they were putting in my head certain thoughts or comments. They wouldn't even, I wouldn't even hear them say anything about demons. So that's why I know this is real.
Diane, I'm not sure if we got a property tax, but every 3 months we got to pay rates to get the bins emptied and things like that. Is that a property tax? Is that what you're talking about, or is it a complete separate tax?
Because from a really young age, my spiritual senses were activated. And it was like suddenly I was introduced into this spiritual realm, and I could hear these demons speaking in tongues, and I could hear them like entering the room and touching me. So it was
Different
really
tax, yeah, okay.
a strong experience for me.
So demons. So all right, I've never heard anybody say that before. You heard demons speaking in tongues.
Yeah. So that was one of the first strong experiences that I had. I was around maybe like 4 or 5 years old. And I remember I went to sleep with my mom. I wasn't sleeping and I wasn't dreaming. I was awake. And I remember this being entering the room. And he was speaking in tongues, but his voice was evil. Like as soon as he entered in the room, the atmosphere changed. And I could feel this evil presence, like fear and panic. And he was speaking in tongues. All I could hear him was saying, like singing, because he was singing in this weird language that I couldn't understand. But I know now they were like the demonic tongues. And when he came next to me, he started to touch my legs, and I could feel his hands were really hot. And I believe what he was doing to me, he was releasing something over my legs, like some sort of course, because for many years I had knee problems. I was since I was young, I was always involved in sports, dancing, doing basketball, ballet, and then as soon as I hit 13, I had like an issue on my knees, and I had to stop every type of sports, dancing, everything. And so I believe that for many years, that experience that I had with that demon impacted my life in many levels until a few years back, I realized that there was a curse, and I had to break that curse over me.
So I hate to go down this road because I don't want to jump the gun, but I don't want to forget either to ask you this. So based on the idea that this demon was speaking in tongues over you, how do you view speaking in tongues then? I mean, is this a demonic language, an angelic language? Is it a godly language that demons learn from God?
Let me tell you something. So that was the first time that I hear demons speaking in tongues. But growing up, as I was being trained to be a witch and learning all of these different things, when we used to do rituals, we used to speak in tongues too. And so to initiate the ritual, we will come together in a circle. A circle means unity. And all of us will start to just speak in tongues and then invoke these demons. When I became Christian, I realized that I thought like tongues for me were demonic. I always rejected tongues because of my experience. Until one day, I believe the Holy Spirit told me, the enemy doesn't create, the enemy copies. Don't think that that tongues are just for the kingdom of darkness. But the enemy has copied something that I have given to my people. And that's when I have to repent. And a few months later, I received this impartation of speaking in angelic tongues, like different. And I knew, okay, this is from God, because now I'm realizing, me coming out of darkness, that there are so many similarities between darkness and light, and how the enemy tries to copy everything that was given to us. And tongues is one of them. So I wouldn't say tongues is bad, but demonic tongues are bad. So it's just identifying the spirit. And if someone is speaking in tongues, identifying like, okay, what is this? What is the source of this? And asking the Holy Spirit for guidance.
Wow, that's a good answer, Shawnee.
Is there an actual, in your mind, a distinguishing was it like a style of how like with the more in
a normal house in a suburb of Sydney would put you back $1 million US, I reckon. because about 1.3, 1.4 for a 3-bedroom house. Nothing special, but that's how much the property's worth in Sydney. 1.3 million just to buy an average house.
Angelic versus demonic. Speaking of in tongues, like when you're speaking in tongues as a Christian, is there like an audible difference, or is it more of a spiritual from the heart difference?
I think for me, hearing how demonic tongues sound, I could say by hearing, but also in the spirit. Why? Because when you are hearing those type of tongues, you feel fear. You feel like this darkness just enter the room. Like if you are sensitive in the spiritual realm, you notice it straight away. So for me, I could hear and identify these sounds demonic, but at the same time in my spirit, I could tell, okay, this is the why there's fear in the room, because the presence of God and light doesn't introduce fear or darkness. It's the opposite. It's freedom and joy and all of that. So that's why for me, I can identify from by hearing, but also in my spirit.
So you said when they did the ritual when you were a child, you started seeing the spiritual realm, essentially, darkness and angels. At what point did you start seeing angels? I mean, I'm assuming when you said that, you meant you were seeing angels while you were in witchcraft. And so what was that experience for you? Like, was it something where you knew what you were seeing and you viewed it as almost the enemy? Or
Great
did
question.
you see what you saw and not totally comprehend exactly what it was?
Exactly. I was so young that I didn't know, okay, what is good and what is bad. All I knew was that these experiences that I was having with these demons, for me, I was really scared. I had so much fear because that was what the atmosphere was bringing.
Wow.
But then at the same time, because I believe at that point, now that I grow up and that I understand more, I realized that at that age, there was like a fight for me. I felt that the angels were fighting for me, but also darkness were fighting for me, and I felt it because almost at the same time I had different accidents. I got hit by a car, and I felt literally how someone lifted the wheel of the car, and it didn't crush me. All I felt was my leg, the wheel of the car passing by, but I felt like someone lifted up, and I didn't have any issues. And at the same time, I also had another encounter where I was riding a horse, and we were going really up, like really high hill, and all I could see at the back were stones and mud. If I could have died, and all I remember was I was literally falling, and I was grabbing to my godfather. And as I was falling, I felt someone grab me from my waist and pull me on the ground. And when I look around, it was just me. And then everyone was just looking like, what happened? How did she how did she stand? And I literally was standing between two gaps. So there was a hole in here that I could have literally fall into that gap and die. And my legs was like stepping into those two things, and the hole was in the middle.
Yep, the Green
So
New
all of
Deal.
those experiences at that age, I realized now, like it feels for me like there was a fight in the spirit. At the same time, one of my aunts, she was Christian, and I remember that she was taking me to church, and I had flashes of when I became a Christian, why the Lord was preserving my life, and one of the reasons was because my aunt consecrated me for God. So even though my great grandmother and all of us, they were just doing witchcraft, and I was having all of this warfare, at the same time, my aunt, by taking me to church, she was consecrating me in the altar. So that's why there was like this fight of like, no, she belongs to light, and no, she belongs to darkness, and that fight. But I realized that after I become Christian many years later, I was asking God one day, why I'd never died? Like I had so many cases, so many opportunities where I think about those situations, and I should have been dead. Why I never died, God? Why I never? And I was just asking God, why? And then he started to give me these flashes, these flashbacks of my aunt taking me in secret to this church and consecrating me in the altar, and now me having all of this warfare with dark.
Guys, I might switch Mike from around the world now. Unless you watched him yesterday, I didn't. Did you watch Mike yesterday, guys?
And then light, and so it was really impactful for me after I met God, how, you know, all of those experiences were real for me.
Yeah, it sounds like the actual warfare over your life was very apparent, even while you were within the witchcraft.
Good. I'll switch over to him then. You knew I'd play him the next day, didn't you, Di? Because I always like Mike.
More a totalitarian mentality, because you got the Chinese, you got the Russians, and you got the Islamic jihadis, the radical Shiites. All of them are really just control the people with power and strength and brutality if needed. And then you have the West that supposedly is supposed to be free and of the people, but obviously corruption is everywhere. So in your opinion, when we're hearing today, it wasn't only Putin saying two-state solution, it was China as well. And
I saw a YouTube video today, North Korea's flag has been flown next to the Russian flag in the Ukraine. So there's North Korean troops in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
If that was true, and it looked true to me.
Said it as well. This is gigantic that they are talking that there has to be a two-state solution. So we're going now that the whole world is coming against Israel, and they're going to try to force the parting of the land. Where do you see this going?
Well, they're gonna change the leadership in Israel.
Okay, he talked that long. I thought Mike hadn't shown up yet.
Bev, you're sitting on a monster. Big, isn't it?
Awaken your super.
Stupid head.
Get luxury for less. Shop Luxo Living online today.
Discover the Canadian Rockies with Emerald Cruises and Tours. Best 2025 offers out now. 18-day.
Oh, come on, Eds. Bloody hell.
On the brink of World War III. Think about the people in Israel running into the shelters. Every night, Heidi's phone goes off with rockets. I mean, every night we'll be asleep. All of a sudden, you'll hear it'll start going off. Rockets are being fired.
Hey, JD, good to see you, bro.
I mean, it's just unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable. We're living in the end times. Mike is going to join us any moment. I'm going to turn him up as loud as I can. Unbelievable. Okay. And have patience.
I'll take it about 10 minutes back with Misty singing, guys. Give me a sec.
We'll be as loud as possible. I'm not in my normal studio. As a matter of fact, some of the equipment I was trying to use, I can't use it. So
VB, you know I drink VB, mate.
And
no, JD, that's tomorrow. It's their Saturday. I do it our Sunday. I'm doing that tomorrow.
We're going to ask him the questions about all these different things that are happening right now. Very, very, very interesting time in history, really. And that's why he told us to pray. Men ought to pray, and that without ceasing. Pray, and that without ceasing. If my people that are called by my name would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I would hear from heaven. I'll forgive the sin. I'll heal the land. Mike from around the world is with us. Mike, how you doing tonight?
Pastor Paul, God bless you. I'm doing okay tonight.
Oh, good. Praise God. Well, wow, Mike, we're 12 days away from maybe one of the most important elections in history, and maybe this is even more important than we can even fathom.
I agree.
The most important.
Yeah.
I would say this is the most important event that we have. And then right now is the single most important event.
So, Mike, there's a lot I want to ask you about. We've been talking about here before you come on. Let's start with the BRIC nations for just a second. They got together. I mean, you got Russia, China, you got India, Iran.
Oh, okay, Shawnee, no worries.
South Africa, Brazil, but there was 30 nations actually, and that you had some really powerful individuals there. A lot of people represented on the planet, and some huge economies, and 2 out of the 3 superpowers. And their conversation today, Mike, was Israel and the Holy Land is on the brink of conflagration. Basically, Putin was saying the Middle East is about to go up in flames, and Israel better not attack Iran's nuclear facilities. What is your take on the BRICS and Putin's warning?
Well, it's a combination.
They revealed what the BRICS banknote looks like. They've revealed it.
Shared view with those countries. They do not want Israel in power, right? They don't want Israel in power because they continue unless they fold to some of the ideologies of a two-state solution. Otherwise, they don't want them in power. Now, the Middle East is it's a very wealthy place, right? So, but Israel is a disruption. They see Israel as a disruption to prosperity, right, for all those countries. And I can tell you right now, they're getting together to take them out of power. They see the U.S. elections forming. They're watching opinions closely. They're doing everything they can do to sway people's opinions, and they're doing everything. But they have to get in position, because if if Trump gets into power, they know there's some things they have to do prior to him getting in power. Trump is not going to play with Iran. He's not going to do that. And he's not going to be as lenient with Iran as Democrats have been. They already know this. So they have to do something prior to that.
They certainly seem to be feeling as doing Ezekiel 38, doesn't it?
Point. They have to come to some agreements, get some agreements on paper prior to that point, and they're ready to do it. They already have their financial system is already set up and ready to go without the American petrodollar. They have changed and altered so much, as though they're getting ready for the USA to pass the governance mantle to another country. So something else is in the works. Something huge is in the works, and they know it, and they're going to make a move. They're going to make a move. They're not getting together just to whistle Dixie. They're going to make a move, and the USA is, we're going to have to face a very different situation. And that's regardless of who's in power, because they're going ahead with this movement. And back channels in their governments, they've already passed certain laws. They have manuals written. These guys have a brand new outlook on the future that Americans just don't hear about. And they have written out the USA.
Wow.
So in other words, you're saying that they've created, in their mind, they're creating a new world order that doesn't include the United States.
Yep.
Yeah, the USA is not included. And that's not good. Who does that? When you have a country like the USA, who clearly carries a mantle of leadership in the world, who makes another world, right? And gets rid of that leader and says, well, guys, we're going to run it ourselves. So it really
Oh, are you kidding, Mike? The CIA's overturned so many governments in coups. You're kidding. Wow.
shows you some of the internal confidence that they have in their own plans. Now that's very dangerous, because when somebody has confidence in their own plans, you know what the next step is. If it's opposed, they will go to war. They will go to war.
Post the link, Shawnee,
Okay,
please.
and I guess will they go to war? That would include with us, the United States, and our allies. And so the world is choosing up sides, is what I'm hearing you say. There's two ideologies. One is the West, and one is more authoritarian, a more totalitarian mentality, because you got the Chinese, you got the Russians, and you got the Islamic jihadis, the radical Shiites. All of them are really just control the people with power and strength and brutality if needed. And then you have the West that supposedly is supposed to be free and of the people, but obviously corruption is everywhere. So in your opinion, when we're hearing today, it wasn't only Putin saying two-state solution, it was China as well, and India said it as well.
They've already formed the alliance, Diane. It's a done deal. I mean, Shawnee, it's a done deal.
This is gigantic, that they are talking that there has to be a two-state solution. So we're going now that the whole world is coming against Israel, and they're going to try to force the parting of the land. Where do you see this going?
Well, they're gonna change the leadership in Israel. I hate to say.
Okay, we'll do that BRICS one so we can take into context what Mike's talking about. Thanks for that link, Guy.
And many of you know that I've been watching this relative to Scripture, particularly Revelation chapter 13, verses 1 and 2. As I've shared, that the Bible is always right. All we got to do is watch the Lord reveal this, as it will confirm whether we're on the right track in regards to our study, citing that BRICS may be the multipolar global power that Apostle John saw rising up out of the sea. Well, this latest update is encouraging. Here it is. BRICS has accepted no new full members, but have accepted 13 associate partners that may become full members later on. So right now there are 9 countries that have this full membership and 13 countries that are associate partners. Don't forget that Saudi Arabia has not yet decided to join BRICS as a full member.
I'm already subbed.
Here's the current membership listing of BRICS. The full members are Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And remember, when I speak about the core countries of BRICS, Russia, India, and China do overwhelm Brazil and South Africa within the group. They seem to have more prominence and more weight carried within the group. But Russia, India, and China are more prominent. So I refer to them as the core. Later on, we see Iran in this next group that joined last year, which is Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, in the United Arab Emirates. Which one do we hear about most often?
A lot of third world countries in this.
Out of that next group, Iran. They always got something to say, right? Hence that mouth. All right. So this next group, associate partner countries, these are Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, Algeria, Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Kazakhstan, Nigeria.
Okay, look what it says at the bottom. Saudi Arabia still has not accepted terms
Nigeria, Turkey
to join BRICS.
Uganda, and Uzbekistan. And altogether, these are 22 in count. And let's not forget Saudi Arabia, which still has not accepted membership into BRICS. That would be 23 altogether. Now, this is very close to the biblical count of 10 and 10. 10 horns And we know the horns are defined as kings, as we see in the book of Revelation and the book of Daniel. But these crowns are partnered, they are alongside, they are not the same, they are associated with. So this makes sense as far as what we can see thus far. This is extraordinary because the Bible points to a 20 count membership in Revelation chapter 13, verse 1. We have a 22 count now to be effective on January 1st of 2025. But what does the Bible say? 10 horns and 10 crowns upon the horns, right? Currently, it looks like 9 horns and 13 crowns. So I'd expect one more full member, which may be Saudi Arabia finally accepting its invitation to join BRICS, and also 3 countries dropping out of the
BRICS wouldn't succeed if Saudi Arabia doesn't join them. They need Saudi Arabia to make it work because that's who the petrodollar was signed up with America, the Saudi Arabians.
Associate partnership. We could even see Saudi become an associate partner and one of the others become a full member. We don't know, but what does it all mean? I think it means that we are on the right track. But we also know that there isn't much time remaining before this multipolar global power rises, as Apostle John was shown. Not only because the count is really close to 20 now, and in the same configuration that Apostle John shared, but because of the other biblical prophecies nearing the end of their span. This one is just beginning. The fulfillment of Revelation chapter 13, verses 1 and 2 is not a prerequisite to the harpazo. Those in Christ may see it beforehand, although this points to the shortness of the time, which also confirms that during this 7th year from the wonders in the heavens of Revelation chapter 12, we do see a multipolar global power rising up. And it has a distinction between its membership, where some are associate members. Hence, the horns and the crowns upon them, with the count getting closer to what we see within Scripture. So with the description in verse 2 reflecting the national animals of the core countries within BRICS, which are Russia, India, and China, with Iran added last year, we can now see the beast that's like unto a leopard, with the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion. This multipolar world power, described as a beast in the Bible, serves 3 purposes. First, for those that can identify it afar off before it forms up, it serves as another warning that Jesus Christ is coming. We just don't know if it's before this beast forms up or sometime afterwards. Second, this rising multipolar world power serves as a conduit through which the Antichrist rises through. He's that 11th horn. Daniel chapter 7, verses 23 and 24. Thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out.
I remember Jimmy Swaggart crying on at his podium.
Of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them. And he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. See, the beast is a kingdom, and kingdoms are made up of people, right? And then we saw that the symbology of the 10 horns are the 10 kings that will rise up, and then another one. So initially 10, and then follows another later. But he's going to subdue 3 kings. Third, this rising multipolar world power serves as a weapon of judgment upon the unipolar world power described as Mystery Babylon. Revelation chapter 17, verses 16 and 17 says, and the 10 horns which you saw upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God has put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree,
Wow.
and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of God shall be fulfilled. Note the 10 horns will work together to destroy Mystery Babylon. A key part here is while there are yet 10 horns. This is before the AC rises up and subdues 3. Another note that the focus is on the 10 horns doesn't mention the crowns. And we see a time frame until the words of God shall be fulfilled. Because once they're fulfilled, they're done, for the 10 will become 7. So there's a lot of details there. If you're not familiar with how bricks may be in the Bible, the symbology described within Revelation chapter 13, verse 1, illustrate
He has a reasonable point, if you ask me.
groups of people. Revelation chapter 13, verse 2, illustrates what it looks like utilizing the national animals of BRICS countries. It's like unto a leopard. This means that it is like a leopard, but not a leopard. There are no tigers in the Bible, but the national animal of India is the tiger, which is like unto a leopard. It has the feet of a bear. Both Russia and China have bears as their national animals. Then it has the mouth of a lion. Iran has the national animal of the lion. This is why BRICS is watched. Of course, folks involved may not be aware of this. It's not a conspiracy theory, but it is where the Bible says that it will end up. Again, I'd expect the BRICS count to adjust. It's nothing short of amazing to watch the Lord unfold this. So keep on watching this develop. All right.
Okay, that was very interesting.
Everywhere around the world and right here on your doorstep, you'll find Door Macabre. From door hardware to complete.
We don't send women to combat.
Well, that's a problem because I'm here. Even when I wanted to look away.
Has to be a two-state solution. So we're going now that the whole world is coming against Israel, and they're going to try to force the parting of the land. Where do you see this going?
Well, they're gonna change the leadership in Israel. I hate to say that, but that's a fact. They're gonna change the leadership, which means there are gonna be some unfortunate events that take place. Some unfortunate historical events. Israel's hand is going to be forced. They will install. I cannot help but to continue to worry about a new individual coming into Jerusalem, which is going to bedazzle everybody there. But
is he from Israel, or is he coming in from a different?
No, he's from Israel. Keep in mind, inside of Israel, there are. Well,
okay, guys, how bad is Kamala Camel Toe's judgment? She's got Usher speaking for her and Beyonce. After all the P. Diddy crap, that's going to turn voters away, but she's using them. How Swizz?
Well, during that webinar, betrayal was one of my main
things. It was. Yes,
right?
It was.
So you'll see a lot of betrayal on every single level, going forward. I mean, bad betrayals that will really start to uncover some things. And within Israel, you have groups of people who they absolutely hate Israel, but they are of Israel, right? It's kind of like in the Bible when the Bible says, I know you're around those people who say they are Jews but are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Those would be the individuals who do not have the Lord's word in them. They have another word in them, and these people are rotten to the core, right? They were there in, during the Gulf War. The USA had problems with them. When Saddam Hussein was going to attack Tel Aviv, these guys were feeding information to Saddam
I didn't know he was friends with Diddy. That's a bad smudge.
Hussein in regards to coordinates. I suspect these same groups have been feeding Hezbollah and Hamas information about, different, the placement and the groundwork of Israel, especially when Hezbollah and Hamas have done, had precision rocket launches that if they would have hit their target, they would have hit right in the bullseye. Right, Benjamin Netanyahu is always targeted.
Yeah.
Other cabinet officials are targeted, but the missiles, the intercept tracks that Iron Dome takes down, if it hadn't been there, it would have taken them. Even the USA with their intercept capabilities, right? If they hadn't.
I wonder if he wins the election. He can't possibly help PD. It'd be too obvious, wouldn't it?
Intercepted certain missiles from Iran, because during that missile barrage, they had another launch. It was two groups of missiles, and obviously they had some high-level precision missiles in there that were headed to very specific targets, but they were intercepted by the USA, not by Iron Dome, but the USA. Had they stayed on that track, goodbye, all those important people in Israel.
So you're saying
govern it right now.
You're saying that really it was the United States that knocked down those Iranian intercontinental ballistic missiles. It really wasn't the Iron Dome of Israel.
There were some very specific missiles the USA intercepted. Yes, yeah, we're over there now. We have that same mission is ongoing with Israel. The USA has been helping out, and so there were some that would have hurt because Iron Dome, it can intercept missiles, yes, but you're looking at when you have high-tech missiles which can alter altitude and take a whole different track. Iron Dome can't track something like that. It will lose a missile at a specific altitude. But with us, we can cover that. So you have certain missiles that Iran has and Russia made them. But I believe they had a almost like a
Diane, that's in 2012, that clip. So obviously he was friends with him. He'd already had the freakouts going since 2007. By 2012, everyone would know what Diddy's on about. And Trump endorsed him. Wow.
The aim of a jump missile, in other words, it will launch at one altitude and have a specific track. But then obviously it has some sort of propulsion that makes it go up a few 100 to up to 1,000 feet in seconds, right? And then it goes on a different track. All this to fool any type of Patriot system, Hawk systems, all these different systems. That it tries to fool those systems to get into its target. But they launched some of those, which was a big surprise to the USA, which is why they immediately deployed some high-tech devices over to the Middle East right after that missile barrage, right? Because that was a surprise. That was a shocker. Anyway, they're trying to take out Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yes.
Right? And is the way Israel's security is, they're just humans. They're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And you're looking at attacks that are happening against Benjamin Netanyahu every single day, from within and from without.
Yeah.
Right? So, it's one of those inevitable things.
So it's pretty obvious that Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump are the two most wanted men in the world by the enemy, I would think. And I'm going to ask another question. I want to tell you about these fault line and Atlantic currents in just a second. Just one last question on this, and that is this intel leak. How in the world? I mean, it isn't like you gave a lot of people the intel. I mean, Israel's saying, here's our game plan to go after Iran. It didn't tell everybody. It wasn't something that's floating around the Pentagon. There was just a handful of people who gets this plan. How in the world does it leak to the Telegraph and to CNN? Mike,
well,
what's going on?
Israel, when Israel shares their plans, right, they do it through a different avenue. So your average intel person is not going to get that. They're not going to know.
Right.
Right. So that's troubling. That means somebody on the inside of Israel, very close to Benjamin Netanyahu, is a betrayer, and they're still there. Right.
Wow.
Because they haven't found the guy yet. So they're still there. I would suspect this is why Benjamin Netanyahu has not shared too many plans with anybody else because he really is not, he doesn't know who he can trust
No.
around him. What a situation that is. Well, I know that situation well, but that's an act of betrayal. And of course, when it goes through these unchecked channels, everybody gets hold of it, right? Because it travels the internet, and things travel fast. But Israel has bad problems with leaks. If that can be leaked, well, so can times and dates and targets. And I hope the leak doesn't penetrate to the Mossad territory, because if that's so, that's an instant defeat of Israel.
Yeah, it would be.
If the Mossad is ever infiltrated, Israel is going to be doomed within hours if that ever happens. And so everybody should expect the USA to stay on station for that reason and some more to secure Israel. But Pastor, they're preparing something that's just unprecedented. These enemy nations are planning something, and they're extremely sneaky, right? And it's very difficult for even U.S.-based intel to really discover all of what they're actually doing. There are too many components. But you're looking at terrorist organizations that the public has never heard of, that are extremely efficient in what they do. These names like Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis, and all that, these are names, newspaper names. These are public names. These are names that people identify certain activities with. But these other groups they're highly trained. Many of them have been trained by the U.S. Army. Many of them have been in, they're part of the airborne, part of 7-7, other operations, 10th Mountain Division, so on and so forth. The Marine, you just name it, they've been there, and they go back to the Middle East. Everybody seems to have forgotten back in 2011, 9, 10, and 11, the training of 4 nations in the USA on military USA bases. Everybody seems to have forgotten the Russian troops that were in our bases, learning about our tactics.
Yeah.
Everybody forgets that the group that was with Osama bin Laden, that our services and the CIA and FBI were training to release them back to Saudi Arabia, to go back overseas to fight. Everybody forgets that. And because nobody talks about it, it's not brought up again. These guys are highly trained. It's not a joke. And there are many. They seem to have, it's in 2 years. You're looking at troops, about 400,000 to 500,000 troops were trained and released, right? And that was what, I think it was a 5-year training program. That's a long time. And then they were released back to the Middle East. And all of a sudden, all of them cut ties with the USA, with everybody else. And they're doing their, terror thing. But nobody has ever heard of them, though. These guys are still out there, right? That's a huge threat. So Israel has a big problem. We have a bigger problem, because they do understand that in order to somehow take over Israel, we have to be pushed out of the way. And that brings up the elections. And in fact, that brings up every single day, this day and any day beyond.
They can't take down Israel without taking out the states.
This day, the USA has a serious problem on its own soil. And, Lindsey Graham knows it. He almost spoke too much during an interview, which made everybody's hearts, thump a few times extra. But we have some serious issues here. We have Afghan nationals here in the USA that are ready to move. They're ready to move. We have unnamed militia groups here in the USA. And we're talking about groups with a, personnel up to 5,000 people per group, and even higher, that are already moving, doing things, coordinating, talking, making plans. So beyond these popular groups that people may find troubling, like Proud Boys and so on and so forth, there are other groups that are highly trained, very motivated, and they don't really make waves. And that's very disturbing. because they operate, but nobody knows about them. And that's true to a level of professionalism that is, you just don't see from militia groups.
All right, Mike. These are things that's why we're praying for our country and praying for the peace in the world. And we understand there's violent, dangerous people everywhere. That you're giving us some good warning. That's just another reason to vote and to pray. Let me ask you a question. There's a report that came out. These scientists have got together. First of all, they released something. You told us about this maybe 2 years ago, that there was a fault line under New York City. And it was a new one that no one really knew about. There was an earthquake in New York not long ago. It was pretty big. It kind of shocked everybody. And now they are releasing information that there is a fault line that is under New York City, and it's very dangerous, and it runs at a 45-degree angle, which makes it extremely dangerous. Mike, you told us this before anyone ever heard about it, but now this is being released. Are we preparing for something that's about to happen? Which one are you more worried about, the fault line in New York City or the fault giving way in San Diego?
Well, the San Diego thing is, that's coming regardless, right? That's something that they could move on now. They could protect the people, but they're not going to do it. The New York thing, because so many people are unaware of the caldera and the fault line, they're in major trouble. In fact, when the fire breaks out in New York, it's going to come from beneath New York. That's not going to be good. Wow. That entire city is in trouble, right? There will come a time when people they'll break their neck to get out of New York. In fact, pretty soon people will start leaving the big cities anyway. But New York specifically is, they have troubles from above and below. And that fault line is sitting, that actual fault line is above a huge cavity below it that's full of magma. So can you imagine a small earthquake? It doesn't have to be a big one. A small earthquake can cause a...
No, I posted something similar to that the other day, or I streamed it. I don't remember. But it was the witchcraft behind Donald Trump and Kamala Harris for McDonald's.
Some sort of a ripple, right? An opening for that magma to make its way topside, and then it's a game over. Because as soon as it hits that level where the gas lines are,
it'll blow everything.
There's also some gas mains in New York too. That whole place is going up. Right. Their infrastructure and their gas routing is so poor that anything can set that place off. But they're dealing with some bad geological issues. They couldn't see that, when they built those cities long ago. You couldn't see deep into the ground. This time, through a few techniques and some earthquakes, natural disasters, they saw the echoes, which confirmed what was sitting below it, and that's a very dangerous thing. The USA probably has about...
Okay, we'll check that out, Di. That looks good. It's good when you're the editor. You can choose what you want. McDonald's Golden Arches logo is symbol in Secret Witches. And here we go.
Today is October 25th, 2024. All right, good morning, everybody. Well,
I've seen another channel do this, and it's pretty stunning.
Welcome back. Today is October 25th, 2024. And as promised, I told you guys that I would look for the occult symbolism behind the McDonald's Golden Arches logo. That's what we're going to get in today. I think I figured it out. I'm going to show you this here, and we're going to get into some other topics as well today. The double arches. What are you looking at on your screen here? Well, this is the Theban witches alphabet. And as you can see here, the letter D looks like the golden arches. Now, why are we talking about this? Well, The witches' Theban alphabet was used by the ancient MAGA cult. Now, everybody knows what the MAGA cult is. The witches, but nobody connected this to McDonald's and the secret, which is alphabet. Now I'm going to show you proof of all this that suggests that the Golden Arches logo originated out of this alphabet. I'm going to show you all the connections: McDonald's, the clowns, the magician card, tarot card, magic tricks. All of it is connected to the MAGA cult. Now, just so you know, I searched and searched. I went through thousands of occult symbols on the internet. I spent a whole hour on it, just looking to see if I could find anything that resembled the Golden Arches. So this isn't just a cherry pick. This is the only one, because none of the other symbols really came close. But once I identified the Theban alphabet, the confirmation was that it was actually used by the MAGA magicians, which of course is Donald Trump's namesake, Make America Great Again. Now, before we break all this down, we need to have a talk. You know, a favorite slur that I see in the comments from fast asleep people who aren't really paying attention to what we're saying is that I have TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. And the reason why I say they must not really be paying attention is because everything that I show you challenges the entire political system, not just Trump. There just happens to be 10 times the symbolism behind Trump than any other president I've covered. We did a lot of videos on Barack Obama. He was president. Probably just as many as with Trump. We had to pull most of those down because YouTube was going through and taking down channels critical of anything. So those are removed. I've got them on a hard drive somewhere for those that are really interested in how much we covered Obama. So what?
He put drugs in a cheeseburger for P. Diddy.
Is there so much symbolism behind Trump that we're seeing in animations, films? We've covered many of the cameos that he's done as well. Why so much symbolism? Well, the fact that there is so much symbolism should give anybody who's paying attention pause. So I have a confession. I do have derangement syndrome, but it isn't Trump derangement syndrome. It's Christ derangement syndrome. And that kind of derangement I can be very proud of, can't I? Because until Christ's kingdom comes, men will fail over and over and over again. Now, I knew when I started down this road, it wouldn't be a popular message, challenging the very underpinnings of America's role in the world, challenging the political establishment. It's literally like swimming against the tide. It's literally one at a time waking people up, person by person, because the indoctrination starts from infancy, doesn't it? And very few people see the forest from the trees. Now, what else damaged the truth was the Q movement. They really did a number on people's minds, didn't they? What did Q do? Well, Q reignited people's trust in government. You guys don't have timnesia. Before Q, everyone in the truth community understood that there was a well-established political glass ceiling where people's allegiances were sworn long before even getting on a ballot or being talked about in the news. Before Q, people knew that democracy was set up as a slave system run by Freemasons and the devil himself. We knew all this. We knew that Hollywood was evil and that nobody that we read about or see on TV represents us. They are the slave class. But now the lines have been completely blurred, with people believing in Trump, who is aligned now with Elon Musk, who just last Halloween wore this.
There you go. There's the truth on Musk.
And so I get Christians that come on here and tell me I have Trump derangement syndrome, when Elon Musk wears an inverted cross with the Baphomet on his chest, who's now buddies with Trump. Sometimes I wonder what kind of reality we're living in. Elon Musk wants to develop artificial intelligence. We know that that's evil. We know that's the icing on the cake of the slave system. So why is our message not popular if people already know all of this? Now, I could understand if I was asking you to choose a side, right? Like if I was on here saying, you guys, maybe you should choose the Democrats. I could totally understand why someone would be upset with me about that, but that's not what I'm asking you to do.
Okay, what are you asking them to do? Not vote at all?
I'm asking you to write in Jesus Christ in the ballot,
Oh,
so that his kingdom
then. Yeah, right, Jesus Christ.
can come. Let his kingdom come. Because as long as we keep voting for the necessary evils, maybe that's why he hasn't come back yet.
Come on, big fella. Come on.
Another slur that I see in the comment section. People mad at me because I said, let's come back in 4 years and see where we're at. I'm unsubscribing. We don't have 4 years left. And you know that. Why would you tell people that? Or the rapture people come on and say, we're going to be raptured before 4 years. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No. The Bible doesn't say that. It says that all of this is going to happen like a thief in the night, completely unexpected. And let me remind you, we've been on here for 4 cycles of 4 years, haven't we? We've been on here since 2012. In 2012, people were mad at me. You have no idea. We don't have another year left. And then 2016, you have no idea. We don't have another year left. 2018, you have no idea. We don't have another year left. And on and on and on. So don't get mad at me. I'm just the messenger, you guys. Trying to feel our way through all this because there are no solid answers. And according to yesterday's show, I showed you that we've been on the right track, trying to warn lots of people. I don't know if other shows do retrospective videos of things that they talked about before they happened, but we try to do that. And it's not to brag, it's to show you we're on the right track for those paying attention. And for those of you that are paying attention, who tune in, who try to tune in daily, you're getting a benefit from this because you're steering clear of these things. I don't know about you guys, but we knew for a fact when the COVID pandemic hit, we already knew it was coming. We already knew what to do about it, didn't we? And we stood our ground. Now, if you don't know what we're talking about here, well, tune into yesterday's show, and I showed you videos from 2016 warning about a coming pandemic, warning about what Trump would do, which he did and is going to do in this next term. He will get reelected, for those that are angry.
So what, are these guys suggesting Trump's the Antichrist or just a villain?
About me exposing him. So don't worry about that. You'll get your wish, but be careful what you wish for. Now let's break down the Golden Arches MAGA cult. Ronald McDonald was a MAGA magician.
I'm a proud Ningi woman. A big driver for me is my family. I wouldn't understand my Aboriginal culture or be the person I am now if it wasn't for them.
She's wider than me and she's talking about Aboriginal culture. Yeah, I think we'll skip the survey.
And the Golden Arches are his secret alphabet. Now, the other day, we took a close look at the vintage Ronald McDonald's commercials, going back all the way to the beginnings. 1960s is when they started. And early on, in some of those early
He used to draw the M's in the air with his fingers. I bet he's going to go there.
McDonald's ads. Ronald McDonald was a magician.
Yep.
He used alchemy to make food appear out of thin air, didn't he? And at first glance, it seemed like innocent marketing, didn't it? That is, until you consider the strange synchronicity surrounding the Golden Arches shape. Let's take a look and read some of these Wikipedia articles. This is the Theban alphabet used by Magus. Here it is right here. What is Magus? Oh, let me show you. It is also known as the Honorarian alphabet or the runes of Honorius, after the legendary Magus. Zoroastrianism. Who is Magus? Well, let's click on the link here. Magus, aka Magi, aka MAGA. And there you can see it in black and white. And if you don't think Make America Great Again has anything to do with this, you're probably on the wrong channel. This has already been well exposed. MAGA magicians. Now, this goes a couple levels deeper. Let's back up though. The Theban alphabet used by the MAGA magicians. Magus, they call them here, and that translates to MAGA. Wasn't a lot to read here other than this was a very secretive alphabet. Theban letters only exist in a single case. It says here, some users of those later charts transliterate W using the Theban characters for VV, parallel to how the English letter developed. I think we got our VW question solved, didn't we? Remember the VW that appeared in the movie trailer? VW bus. So, the Book of Shadows, Wicca, witchcraft. I want to firmly establish this here, okay? Because these are the foundations of our country, you guys. Now, if you think this is all a little bit stretchy, keep watching. Because they link the MAGA cult to Mithra. They were
Israel's launching missiles at Iran right now, are they? If that's true, wow.
worshipped Mithra. Now, for those paying attention who are scholars on this channel, I guess we can call you guys, because some of
I don't know, JD. They are both clowns, though.
you are all over this stuff. We already covered Mithra, didn't we? Let me be clear. The MAGA worshipped Mithra. Mithraism is the knockoff Christianity that they claim predated Christ.
Oh, man, that's not all right.
Mithra. Now, why do they say Mithraism predated Christ? Well, because Mithraism has almost the same story. It's a very similar story to the Christ story, except the people that worship Mithra,
wow,
say that this came before, that it came before. Look, it says here, the statue of the sun god Mitra. Wow. Now, when did we go into depth into Mithraism? Well, there was a TV series called Raised by Wolves. And
no way, Elon has 12 children. So he's got 12 little apostles. That's crazy.
I highly recommend this TV series because it's got a lot of symbolism in it that helps you understand how America works. We are the false Christ religion. This isn't true because it's tainted with the lies our political system are false Christians. We already know this in our hearts, but we continue to give it a pass, don't we? Because we want to believe. We know that these political leaders aren't real Christians. We know this. Now, in Raised by Wolves, they actually worship Mithra. They actually spell it out in the series. They call him Sol. Now, Sol is obviously the acronym for Statue of Liberty. Sol is also Sol Invictus. And this is how you know that Sol is Statue of Liberty. How? Well, look at the pictures of Sol Invictus.
Yep.
It's Lady Liberty. You see it right here.
It actually looks like Apollo too. You see Greek's portrait of Apollo. It looks like the Statue of Liberty.
They have the shining sun peeking out from behind the head. This is the sun god. Now, Sol Invictus is also Apollo.
Yeah, I just said that.
This is all false Christianity. It's Babylon. This is what our country was founded on. Sol Invictus is Statue of Liberty. Apollo. It says it right here. Now, I remember one of the very first videos I ever had taken down on YouTube was a video that I posted called Merry Christmas or Sol Invictus. That was the title of the video. And I remember being shocked that they would literally take down a video that exposes that Sol Invictus is Christmas. I was shocked. Now, this was early on when YouTube was trying to figure out how they were going to censor without giving away everything, right? Because censorship is a fine line. It's something that you can only do if you do it the right way. So if you do it the wrong way, it will wake more people up, won't it? So before, in the early days of YouTube, this must have been like 2013 is when that video got pulled down. I think the reason they gave me, I don't even think they gave me a reason. They just said it was offensive or something.
Against community guidelines.
Title was Sol Invictus or Merry Christmas? ? Now that you understand what's going on, the MAGA cult worshipped Mithra, who is Sol Invictus. Apollo. And now you understand why Trump showed up to McDonald's and has been in McDonald's commercials. You understand now the New York connection. Trump is the archetype of American success, isn't he?
Good point.
Now, what you don't understand is that there's a secret formula to reach the billionaire dollar club. And that formula they do not share with the rest of us. You guys, I have a few friends that are multimillionaires, but they can't seem to figure out how to turn those 3 billion or 4 million into a billion. It's actually very, very, very difficult to do. Unless you know, and you're in the club. The club is how to make money out of thin air. It's like they're magicians. They have their secret investments, their secret instruments, and the people at the top control how everything works. They control the winners and the losers. They don't tell you and I that because then their system would fall apart, wouldn't it? But this is what they do. Now, let me do a quick summary because that was a lot of information that I threw at you. Secret witches alphabet used by the MAGA cult who worship Sol Invictus, Statue of Liberty. It is America. MAGA. It always has been. Now, I couldn't really find a record that MAGA was like clowns. I looked and I looked because I was like, I wonder if they painted their faces white, for instance, or something like that. And, you know, or magic tricks or something like that. But I did find this. Because remember, Ronald McDonald is a MAGA magician.
What's that coming up for? Oh, that's right.
This occultist right here, this guy, we're going to read a little bit about him. Astrologer, occultist. He was born in the 1860s.
Diane, Elon Musk's children who passed away, they could have been a sacrifice.
It says here, Scottish Rite, Masonic Lodge, Grand Master, and his magician card was a clown. Now, we have a solid connection between magicians and clowns. Essentially what you're looking at here is Ronald McDonald. So, I looked this up, and lo and behold, because I don't like to sit around and look at tarot cards, but we expose them when we see them come up, and this magician card has a clown prominently featured on it in most tarot decks. You can't make this up. So, now we have a connection between the MAGA magicians and the clowns. So this is all starting to paint a picture, isn't it? Clowns that do magic tricks, part of a MAGA cult, who use a secret alphabet that looks like the Ronald McDonald Golden Arches. Spooky, to say the least. Wow, let's back this out so you guys can see the whole. Now, another reason why I focused on this alphabet is because most of the characters center around the M letter. As you can see here, almost all of them have the letter M, or at least half of them. The letter C, D, E, F, G, kinda, K, L, M, N, O, P. Even Q has an M on it at the end. R, S, basically all of them have something similar to the letter M. So I believe this is what they were going for when they made the Golden Arches. Now, let's hop off of all of that. But before we do, let's go into the chat, see if you guys have any questions or anything to add to this before we get into some headlines. I got a few headlines I want to cover today, some things of note, of importance that are going on in the world. Because Putin just teamed up with North Korea, and there are troops, thousands of North Korean troops that have gone to Russia and will likely join Russia on the Ukrainian battlefield. So we're going to read about that next. But let's go into the chat first. Wow, that is some crazy witchcraft, isn't it?
Why does that keep coming up?
All right. Good morning, everybody. What are your guys' thoughts on all this? MAGA is the highest degree of witchcraft. Thanks, Tim.
Oh, man. Okay, the telly's got to be rebooted, guys. Sorry. Okay. Telly's playing up, guys. I've got to reboot it. Sorry, guys. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Oh, I didn't think it was going to come on then. Okay, we're back. Yeehaw. Where was it? Where was it?
Built those cities long ago. You couldn't see deep into the ground. This time, through a few techniques and some earthquakes, natural disasters, they saw the echoes, which confirmed what was sitting below it, and that's a very dangerous thing. The USA probably has about, I'd say, around 26 fault lines that they're just not mapped out to the public yet. So, and they're also called DARAs in the USA, right?
Yeah.
Some that are, because the one in New York makes the one in Yellowstone look like a bottle cap, right? The one in New York is actually huge. And, but there are some other things in the USA, same way, right? So, but these things will come out. They'll come out. They have no choice. The earth is changing rapidly, right? Rapidly. There are going to be some conditions that will expose some of the infrastructure weaknesses, but the worst case scenario would be they're going to expose geological weakenings or geological changes that we've gone through over the years. It will expose them. For example, we're still going to go through that moment when we have rocks smacking the planet. That will expose quite a few things.
You talk about asteroids, meteorites. I mean, there was a
big ones and small ones, and these things will expose quite a bit. The sun is just now. You know, they're trying to confirm that the moment we're in right now, is a peak, a part of the peak of one of the sun's activity. Yet the worst is on its way, right?
Yeah.
Those and of course, the sun will interact with the earth and all the planets, right? All the planets are changing, not just Earth. All of them are changing.
Well, we've talked about this, and of course, and as a matter of fact, as you bring up the sun, there was an X 3.3 class solar flare this morning. Extreme, according to scientists, extreme ultraviolet radiation was released. It affected the shortwave radio. It really affected the ham radio, and it's filled with radiation. So I'm expecting some more auroras to probably start showing up here in the next 2-3 days. But so the sun, as you bring up the sun, you brought up many times that the sun is being affected tremendously from an outside source, from another body. You know, if it's binary system, or we can call it Planet X, whatever we want to call it, but whatever this is on the outskirts of our solar system is truly affecting the sun and all the planets. And do you see where do you see the sun going at this point? I mean, how bad will it get, I guess, with the sun and the earth?
It's going to get worse. We're at the first peak. There are two peaks in a solar max. So we're at the first peak. We're not at the the real high peak, but that's been under normal conditions, right? They're going to track the sun. They're going to look at the butterfly charts and make sure, and then see what the trending of the sun is. But given the changes in the other planets, we're in trouble. Pure and simple, we're in trouble. We're going to face conditions. In fact, I'll put it this way: severe weather is about to start. How about that?
Well, wait a minute. We've been
It's
having
about to
severe.
start.
Well, what about all the storms? We've been having all the floods everywhere. It's flooding in Roswell, New Mexico.
In comparison to what the conditions will be, we've not seen severe weather. Think of this as an appetizer.
Wow.
We've just not seen severe weather. So conditions will be much.
Russia warned them not to attack their nuclear plants, Diane. So Russia's warned them, and if that's what they're actually doing, wow.
Much worse. Much worse. The potential for rainfall, for example, that's going to peak out. That's going to be followed by nothing. Can you imagine, Pastor Paul, when everything dries up? And when I say everything, I mean everything. No rain whatsoever, nowhere. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine having 2
That'll be because of the 2 witnesses.
months without clouds?
No. What?
Yeah.
No.
Imagine what the humidity would be, right? So
Well, it'd be like
these type of conditions, this is what we're headed for. And not only that, but with the sun's inundation and its solar winds increasing, it's going to continue to change the atmosphere. The ionosphere is going to continue to get heavier and heavier due to these particulates coming in there and settling in there. It's going to raise the density, right? Now it's 5,000 degrees in the ionosphere.
Yeah.
But guess what? You could stand in the ionosphere right now. It wouldn't bother you. You know why?
Why?
There's hardly any density there. You have to have molecules, you have to have material to transfer temperature, right? When you don't have density, there's no transfer of temperature. So it can be 5,000 degrees, and yet you can stand in that very place. So when particulates start to build up and the density increases, guess what's going to happen to Earth? We're going to go through a hyperheating moment.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to warm things up.
Yes. Yeah. Well, same thing is happening in our oceans on a different level. All the ice is melting. I think these ancient icebergs, that water's different than ocean water. It's different than fresh water, and it's causing a chemical change in the oceans. Well, I believe it was a year ago, we were talking about this very subject, but I was talking about the icebergs that were melting from the bottom up, how they would start to change, how the ocean currents flow.
Well, let's talk about
the ocean currents
because
change.
let's talk about the currents, because that's my next thing, and that is the Atlantic current of the ocean.
What about
it could collapse. There was 44 scientists that just came out with a study.
No way.
In the Atlantic Ocean.
What did he say? The currents are stopping? Did he say that?
It could collapse. There was 44 scientists that just came out with a study that in the Atlantic Ocean, North Atlantic, that the currents in the ocean are slowing down. They're weakening, and thus the cold water that can't circulate the way it should, neither can the warm water, and this is going to affect the entire globe. So tell us, and you're saying that's partly because of what's coming up from
the introduction of the blue water coming from the icebergs melting.
Okay.
Yep. They're melting. That's very ancient water. It has a different chemical composition than what's in the ocean. It tends to sink to the bottom. It takes a long time to actually, enter into the water system itself. But we're going through a milk crisis of types, meaning from the bottom up, not from the top down, from the bottom up, these icebergs are melting big time, fast, right? They're melting fast from the bottom up. If it were, if we caused it, they'd melt from the top down. They're not melting from the top down like they are from the bottom up. They're reading from the bottom up because the ocean floors are literally on fire. I mean, the ocean floor is literally on fire. And so with all these changes, it will stop the current. They know it now. They can't avoid it. Listen, the truth is they knew this at the beginning of the year. But like most scientists, right? Here's their confirmation. They have to pull all data points. They have to have all those data points confirmed. So they give proper groups credit so they can pay them the proper amount of money, right? They're not going to confirm anything before the money starts flowing in their direction. And so they want confirmation because they get paid for that confirmation.
Right.
So they ignored the whole thing. Now, here's the deal. They could have alerted everybody at the beginning of the year. And in fact, the Navy and the U.S. Army could have staved off this situation for at least another 7 to 10 years. But no,
Really?
they didn't do a thing. They didn't say a thing. They didn't alert anybody. They just sat there. Because now with science, a lot of people see that as discipline. Don't be fooled. It's money. It's all about money. They will sit there and not say a word because they want to be right. They get points for that. It's an extra, $1 million if they're perfect in their information. And you have guys that will sit there and tell every other scientist, don't say a word about this until so and so, right? And
But how could
they just come out later and do it.
How could they slow things down or do something?
They found there's something called there's a rock that carries oxygen at the depths of the ocean, right? These are well, they're like crystalline rocks, and they hold oxygen and some other things. They started mining these about 5 years ago, and they know that through a release of these rocks, which is quite amazing, extraordinary, because you can have a rock about 1 inch by 1 inch cubic, and it can release oxygen for about 6 months. That tiny little thing can release a lot of oxygen for about 6 months because they're so compressed and whatever's inside. Anyway, they started mining these things, and they know how to reverse the chemical breakdown of what's happening in the oceans due to heat and due
Hey guys, good to see you, mate.
Traveling all over the place. But they've applied that in controlled areas, and it worked great. But they're not doing anything. They have remedies for some things. They won't publish the remedy. Right? It's almost like in the world we live in right now, if you have a fix for something, but the problem is making more money than a fix ever could.
Yeah.
Well, good luck getting the fix out there, right?
Yeah, unless they get compensated, they're
So
not
that's what
going
we're
to share.
facing.
Without the compensation, they're not going to share the information.
No, they're not. Just like global warming, they're not going to tell the truth
No.
about global warming. They never, ever talk about the temperatures of the other planets when they're talking about global warming.
No,
here.
because
And
that
they
would,
talk about the trending
that
of the
would
heat.
ruin
They
their,
never do that.
that would ruin their theory. Their theory
It
of
would.
man-made global warming, which is a farce. They would, if you say, oh, by the way, the other all the other planets are heating up too. But then you'd say, okay, well, there ain't nobody on those, so okay, what's causing all of the planets? What's causing the sun to do what it does? So
Right.
what
Just
does
we
it
could
mean?
have, we could apply money to research and technology and come up with some sort of solution to really, help the issue here. But they're not going to do that. They want to make money. That was basically 2004. Al Gore took off with it. He started doing those. They had an emergency. All of this started because of a magnetar. All of it did. The global warming story began because of a magnetar, and it scared institutions to pieces. And they know some more they've had magnetar signatures. They know that one magnetar is due to hit us. I'm suspecting this. I believe in the next 4 months.
What?
We're due to be smacked by another magnetar. In 2004, they had emergency meetings, right? Because it sheared off a piece of the atmosphere. Well, keep in mind, without the atmosphere, nothing staves off the sun's deadly effects.
No.
Right? So you have microwaves because the atmosphere is a filter, right? A light filter, basically. And it changes or it filters out certain wavelengths. We need that or we just cook on from the surface of this planet, but it sheared off a part of the atmosphere. They did not detect it coming. They only detected that leaving. They had it overwhelmed satellites and instruments in that area, right? And scientists agree right now it is the deadliest thing anybody could ever face, right? Because if one hit us head on, that's the end of life on Earth. That's how powerful it is. And you're talking about something that blew up 10,000 years ago, that can hit us right, or I'm sorry, 10 million years ago, even 70 million years ago, that can hit us right now, and it would just kill all life on Earth. Well, they know they detected some of the some light from some of those explosions. They know they're inbound past the ball. They know they're inbound. They know they're going to change this planet and every other planet they come in contact with. They know we're in for some changes, some big time changes, right? Like there's going to be a year where high winds begin, and it's going to appear that they won't stop. This will be all over the earth, high winds all over the earth all the time. We know what damage high winds can cause, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because the hurricane, it just put the power out for a lot of people, didn't it? See, the truth is, we have some heavy stuff coming, but weather is going to be an enemy of mankind, and so much so, many will not survive it. They won't. They will not survive what's coming. Right. We have winter coming, and there's going to be something like a hurricane that will come in the middle of winter.
No.
And we're going to have to deal with that. That means power outages from 80-mile-an-hour winds in the middle of, when it's super cold. It's just not going to be a good
Is that going to happen in America? Is it going to happen here in America, you think?
Well, it's going to be just like a hurricane. So when they start forming, we're going to have to follow the tracks and see where they, where they develop at. We still keep in mind the oceans are hot.
Yeah.
It's going to get cold anyway. Now, with that type heat coming off the oceans, you have an ability for something like that to form, something we've not seen before, something they're going to have to name. I know a nor'easter is not going to do it. These things are going to be huge, right? And so we've had an example of what the atmosphere can actually, the moisture, it can actually carry. It can carry trillions of tons of water in the sky now. It can be carried from the ocean all the way overland. Forget inland, all the way overland. So we're going to have some very challenging conditions. Plus, we have the temperature shears. Here's what that means. Imagine if it's, say it's 4 degrees when you wake up at 6 a.m. And then at 10 p.m., it's 52 degrees. And then at 7 p.m. that night, it drops back down to 14 degrees. You know what that does to metal, that type of temperature change? It expands and contracts. It causes metal to expand and contract. You're talking about breakdown of machinery we've just not had before, right?
That's going to affect the infrastructure.
That's more power outages.
Yeah.
The dead of winter, right? So I hope that people have some sort of that live in these places have some sort of a heat backup system. Texas will likely have a power outage again in the middle of winter when it's cold.
They had that before.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So will the other Gulf states. So imagine when it's cold. And Florida will see temperatures of about 19 degrees.
What? No. Are you serious?
Yes.
So there's going to be some excessive heat at times and extreme cold at times.
Yes.
And the water currents are slowing down, and then especially North Atlantic. They say that the countries of Denmark and Sweden and Norway and Iceland and the Nordic countries are getting ready to experience some very strange weather due to the fact that these Atlantic Ocean currents are slowing way down. And Mike, I'm wondering, the core of the Earth, there was a report out, I don't know, maybe 8-9 months ago or maybe a year ago, we talked about this, the core of the Earth, which is mostly nickel and iron, I think, mostly nickel, right? That it's almost stopped spinning, that it's right at the top, or The Earth's still spinning, but the core is not.
Slowing down, yeah.
What does that mean?
That is theorized. And remember, that's the interior portions of this planet are still a theory that it's liquid, right?
Yeah.
That will soon change, but it is starting to alter something. And what that means is our magnetic shielding, Pastor Paul's about to go through the chaotic region. Okay, here's what we're facing. You don't hear a lot on this, but it's good that folks would do some research on it. We're going to have a magnetic field reversal soon, right?
That's a pole reversal.
Well, yeah, but here's how dangerous it is.
Okay.
When it begins, because they track this through the strata and they can see it in the rock layers of the earth. This has happened frequently. Well, in geologic terms, it has, and it is happening again, right? Because they see how it starts, when it actually happens, and how it recovers. They see those three stages. Well, we're in the stage right now where it's starting to happen again. Right, we're well into that. We're well into that, and so once it hits that, the actual reversal stage, the field lines, the magnetic field lines around the Earth, go into what's called a chaotic.
Good point, Diane. That's a good
They're
point.
all over the place. Right now, during this time, it does not block radiation from the sun. It doesn't. It doesn't block the solar winds. They get through. Auroras are all over the place. And that causes the planet to go through some catastrophic earthquakes every single time this happens. I mean, some bad ones, some bad earthquakes. So you're talking about land masses shifting, right? Because of once it stops and the magnetic field lines of force are chaotic, they're all over the place. Temperatures change in a heartbeat. I mean, they just alter. The North and the South poles will alter in their temperature. Radiation's going all over the place. Some of the, like the North Atlantic anomaly and some of the other anomalies on the Earth tend to be all over the place, ruining the vitrification. Is they said, I know the rumors, but they said this is what caused.
Don't buy it.
Fly by it.
What the heck is a quad lock?
Well, its innovative designs mean you can keep your phone secure in the car, on your...
A lot of the vitrification that you see around the planet. And certain layers, that's, when dirt turns to glass. Because it gets so hot that it turns the sand of the dirt into glass. Vitrification.
Yes.
Will have no protection during that time. They said that will last for about, I believe they said 6 or 7 days. 6 to 7 days it'll take to recover, and then it starts, spinning in the opposite direction. But during that time, all the sun's rays get through to the surface. That would burn up everything that sunlight hits. That would literally dry out and burn up everything.
So wherever the sun is hitting at that time is going to get so much radiation, so much UV rays, and so much heat that it's just going to scorch. It's almost going to scorch the earth.
Yes, and because it's so chaotic, you can literally stand beside somebody, they could burn it, and maybe you wouldn't.
What? Is that because
of weird like that? Yeah.
Is that because of ozone, or?
Well, that's because that's the realignment of the magnetic field lines of force. Radiation always follows magnetic field lines of force. So when they're chaotic, well, the radiation and where it ends up is going to be in various places. Right now, it's the north or south pole, but during that time, it won't be. And so they know this time is coming also.
I got it.
That's when they really go underground. They have to go underground.
That's why they've been building the underground
cities. You have
cities.
to go underground. You will not survive. Come outside. Also, that's when people, if certain people have this idea about 3 days of darkness. I know the origin of that, but that would be one of the times when you could not let sunlight into your house at all, right? Because wherever the sun's rays hit, they're going to burn. If you can blacken out or reflect the sun rays, then you're good to go.
Yeah, that's in Revelation. I mean, men will be scorched and they'll gnaw their tongues for pain. They'll blaspheme God because of the sun and what happens. So this is why for years, major governments of the world have been building underground cities
Yeah, the got this. The Germans during World War II had they did extensive research when they were trying to find out, trying to make a home for Lucifer. And but they found out many things about the Earth. The Vril Society found out many things about the Earth, and then Hitler, of course, got involved. He sent people all throughout the Earth to confirm it. They went to every country to confirm it, got every single artifact they can find on quite a few things while they were rebuilding the Aryan Society. But they saw the evidence of it. They saw what it did. They know about it. They pulled all the history from all these other countries, and they know what it did. There are huge gaps of historical points missing because Hitler got hold of it, and then when Germany fell, he burnt it up. He burned that evidence up. The remnants of that came over with the scientists to the U.S., so we had all those writings.
Yeah, Operation Paperclip.
We have them now. Yeah.
All right. Let me ask you a question. Talk about technology for a minute. Elon Musk, of course, has been out there. He's moving and shaking. I mean, as far as supporting President Trump, he's throwing a lot of money at it. He's going on campaign speeches. He's doing all kinds of things. He's also doing incredible things in space with not just SpaceX, but...
What a surprise. Paul loves Elon Musk. I'm shocked.
Some of the black budget space programs.
He's got some brilliant folks out there.
Right. Okay. So now we also know he's going to be bringing out these humanoid robots soon. I mean, to the point that they're like the Jetsons. Okay. He is saying that it won't be long that, how everybody has a car in a driveway soon, and Bill Gates said every home would have a computer on the desk. He's saying every house will have a robot that can do unbelievable, that can talk, can reason, can do all kinds of chores and all kinds of different things. Do you see
Can pack a cone?
This? I mean, is he correct by saying maybe within 5 years we may start seeing this come forward? How far along is it?
5 years, that's way out there. Let me give an example of something called perhaps called the DOD, the Army, right? I said something a while ago, a long time ago, right? Remember I told you, and it seemed wild back then, that they had soldiers that had been field tested.
Yes, I remember.
But these were not real soldiers, and even the soldiers in the field could not tell that these guys were robots. They couldn't tell it.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember.
That was a long.
I was trying to think what it was. Indica or sativa. I knew it was something like sativa. I couldn't think of it though.
That might have been 6 or 7 years ago you told us that. Yeah.
Okay, now that we have public technology like NVIDIA, right? And they have the I'm gonna call it a sandbox where AI can learn how to do things in the virtual world. If you take any AI brain essentially and put it inside of a robot and give it a few minutes to learn the parameters of motor movements, right? That's all it takes. All the training of that robot will take place in the virtual environment. Once you put it in any robot, it can learn what motors are what the limitations are, and begin to work that thing like a living organism or something. Right? It is the wildest thing you've ever seen. NVIDIA perfected how AI can learn. They built something monstrous, and it is buried in the earth. It's in the earth. It's buried in the earth.
What?
And it's in part of the ocean to keep it cool. This thing now they have a capability on the public side to train AI. What would have taken 2-3 years. As far as training AI, they can condense that into about a couple of days now. They built something monstrous.
Would you say are you saying some kind of machine technology in the middle of the earth somewhere communicating? What do you mean something monstrous in the earth?
It's in the earth. They use the earth for both cooling and transfer of heat from it straight to the earth and straight to the ocean water, right? Kind of like cooling off a nuclear facility, something like that. They couldn't have it topside; it would generate too much heat. They're using geothermal energy to help run this thing. NVIDIA did this, and my goodness. In fact, the same time they were setting up Utah, some of the data centers out there, NVIDIA had been working with AI. They've been perfecting AI. All these kids have been training when they play video games. They helped to train AI. This started with Atari. Then it went to, all these other game consoles. As it turns out, fuzzy logic was the initialization of AI, and fuzzy logic has been around for a long time. That's just another name for a portion of AI, but now they have the actual, what they call living systems that train themselves. You put one blank AI module around some other AI modules, and it learns from them and does its own thing, right?
So is it possible then these humanoids, and they're going to bring these human-looking robots who have expression and can talk and can reason, and apparently can even have reason to can do things? Can they turn on you? I mean, can they get mad at you?
Yes, they can. Yeah, but here it is. Let me go ahead and break this. Everybody's about to have a companion. Everybody's going to have an AI companion.
Okay.
Right? This will make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up.
Okay.
Kylie, when you get the vodka, it doesn't have to be Smirnoff.
The context
Oh,
for
the
Queensland
cruises.
this year.
It can be any
Brings you all the
pink one bar.
and campaign
I
questions
think
live
so.
with
Pink.
expert
It's like
analysis
lemonade
as
something.
Queensland decides to
Yeah,
try
I'll
to
get it.
Give me the bottle.
Yeah, but it's the pink one, hey? Yeah.
Cool.
Will he be alright?
This isn't
Of
just a
course he
glimpse of
will.
Emma's bag. It's care for the person doing the caring. It's the farmer.
In 2025, everybody's going to have an AI companion. That AI companion will assist you in everything that you do. It's going to be like a partner, like your extra helper, right? It'll know everything you know. It'll do everything for you. It's going to be on all your electronic devices, everything else. But unlike your phone, that doesn't do anything right now. This thing will do everything. It'll be second nature to a person to access, and they're making it to where you're going to have that companion to access certain things on the internet. Why? Because of what's about to happen. Hacking is about to go to an all high level. It's going to cost people a lot. They're not going to have a problem with that companion. Now, you won't have to renounce anything with the companion. This is totally in the digital realm, but you'll still have that companion. When these robots come out, which will probably not 4 or 5 years, I'm going to say they're coming out next year with some other technology. You have other companies that have these robots too, that have the in-house stewards that are ready to work for people, right? Right now, they're ready to work. So Elon Musk he's going to be left in the dust if you didn't get his stuff out there in 2025. But the companion is more like a friend, a trusted friend.
Is it in the phone? Is it in the phone?
It'll be in everything. It'll be in everything. That's why, listen, they're going to push all tech companies are doing a push. And the push is to get everybody a device with the new AI chips in them. Right?
Okay.
The new iPhone, it already has that embedded. Microsoft is doing the same thing. All tech companies are going to do this so that when a person, because the mandate is everybody has to have a wireless device by the end of 2024. Everybody. They're pushing all this.
Oh, Vash, you're dreadfully wrong, mate. You're 15 years old and you have a couple of bongs, you'll get stoned. There's no free pass on the first time thing. I never heard that theory before. You smoke pot, if it's good, you'll get stoned.
AI stuff, because they've set up everything for AI. Now with AI, you cannot hack. With AI, you can't, it's going to require biometrics to access things, right?
Yeah.
Your companion can carry out tasks for you, and it's unhackable.
Yeah.
The companion will only respond to you biometrically. And so, but here's the part. 2025, the fullness of the companion, I probably will not use. I probably won't use it. But it has a BCI device type thing that goes with it, right? So think about this. Think about you're sitting there driving your car, right? You start thinking about your emails. And when you're thinking about it, you go ahead and let your companion do everything you're thinking about. Now, you're not talking. You're just thinking about it. And it does everything you think about. And then it gives you the information from the emails, and it didn't talk to you either. And then you know it, right?
Whoa!
How about that?
Whoa!
So it's almost like a person having an epiphany. This is when I say game changer. This is going to change everything.
So
because a person, forget about intelligence. Nobody's going to compete over intelligence anymore. Can you imagine what would happen if everybody has access to libraries at will? If people would kill themselves to have this type of this hunger for information that folks have right now is going to die. It's going to die
because you're already going to know.
It's going to be life altering, right? So people will they'll probably get into creating or imagination or philosophy, big time philosophy, things like that, where they sit around and do nothing. And this is what we're moving toward. Now I can tell you right now, I don't like that because I can see some major issues with humanity coming up very quickly. But even they're using it right now with certain individuals, and it's flawless.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Will it get assigned to you? I mean, will you get an assignment, or will you purchase, or you get assigned to you your little buddy, okay, or whatever we're going to call it, companion? Let's say you're using the word companion. Is that person, whoever that entity, that AI entity is, gets
it's
assigned
Johnny?
to you,
Okay, that's interesting.
And that's yours. And no matter what device you're using, it's there. That's what you're saying. It's on your TV, it's on your computer, it's on your phone, it's in your car, your car brain.
That's right.
Okay, so, and you got your own. You don't have somebody else's, and it has you. Is that what I'm hearing?
Right. Because it'll know your behavioral patterns.
Yeah, it will know.
Each person has a ton of patterns that makes them very unique, right? No two people are alike.
So it's almost half in our brains. I mean, it's almost, if you're saying I start thinking something, it knows what I'm thinking, it starts doing what I need done, and then it starts giving me information, and my brain without even talking to me, how in the world is that? I mean, that's like some kind of brain interface.
That's BCI. No, that's BCI. That's just when you think about something, right? They have already mapped the brain. They have already mapped the communication of the brain.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're thinking about something, actually about 10 centimeters from your head, you're transmitting.
Yeah.
10
my
centimeters.
wife told me that. Heidi's been telling
so
me
that means somebody can be close to you, right?
Yeah.
And if they have a BCI interface, they can hear your thoughts right now.
You say BCI, what's that stand for?
Brain to computer interface.
BCI, B.
Brain to computer interface,
okay.
Yes.
BCI. Brain to computer interface. Okay, go on. I'm sorry.
But they can detect your thoughts right now. These guys can print memories. If you have a memory of someone, they can print a picture of that memory, right? Because they have mapped the brain. So it sounds complicated, but it essentially is this. They have a computer program, which is AI Assist, that has mapped the human brain. They have two computers with two fully functional human brains on them. These are virtual brains, but they're computers with all the neurons.
Okay.
And those two computers have personalities. Those two computers have issues and problems just like we do.
Yeah.
Those two computers have weird interactions, right? And so they know it works because they mapped the brain. The brain has a very specific language. They have already mapped it, so they know what your brain is talking about based upon what they're picking up or detecting. Right? It's not that a person has to understand what your brain is saying, but the machine understands what your brain is saying, and so it can translate that anything it likes. You can also transmit from one person to another, which is why certain states have gotten together right now. They're starting to pass laws saying that police officers they cannot use these devices on suspects to read their thoughts.
Because
they're passing laws, and some have already passed it, saying that essentially cops cannot read the thoughts of suspects because a person gets nervous, they can have all sorts of thoughts.
Yeah, it doesn't mean
why is this guy stopping me? I want to choke him to pieces. That cop would hear that. So they don't want that to happen.
Yeah, because the human body.
Looking forward to seeing that grocery items you need to stock up on. That's going to be good.
The human brain, the human solical part, the free will that God gave us, gives us the
You
right
stand
to
corrected. Yeah, Vars, you do get stoned on your first bongs.
perceive something, perception.
Not that I know, a friend told me.
Think about it. Maybe even have an emotional response in the brain.
Hey, man, good to see you.
We haven't done anything yet, but we're analyzing and then analyzing our own reaction to it, whether or not we want to get mad or say something or curse or pray or.
Can you imagine somebody hearing that?
No, that would not be good.
They know it's a concept. They don't know it's going to be a concept or something
that would
like that.
be. I mean, first of all,
that's
people
very
would
invasive.
be angry at each other every other moment. I mean, because people think of things, they think, what is this for?
That's where we're going.
Whoa.
This really gets you though. But let me. Here's the other part.
Okay.
These kids today, do you know, they are. You have a lot of people they don't really have control of their minds, right? They don't. They're emotionally overtaken so easily. The kids today are not like that. They're just not like that. They do not respond emotionally in their heads. In other words, they're not thinking about some emotional response. They're not having to suppress. They're not thinking about the complicated issues and things of that. They're very straightforward, extremely straightforward, and they know things as far as let's just say logic, paper logic, like formulas and stuff like that. They can capture that real quick, right? But they have a breakdown when it comes to identification of how things should work, older things should work, right? They don't have a clue. Now there's a thing called genetic memory, and most of these kids are missing genetic memory. That's
why?
That's not supposed to happen.
Why are they missing these things?
They don't have it. Like they may go to a microwave and see it for the first time and say, well, what is that? Because nobody had to teach, people how to use a phone. Nobody had to show people how to put a cassette tape in a tape deck. We were coming up because you had genetic memory. In other words, just like animals, if 100 animals learn a skill or a task, then all the animals on Earth will learn that skill or task, right? We're the same way. We have genetic memory. We do things like that.
I got you. That's why birds can.
They're absent that.
Birds can fly because they watch the other birds fly, and every babies learn how to speak because they hear mom and dad speaking, and I mean these are genetic memory. I got you. But you're saying that now the
kids are absent that.
Why are they absent that?
Like, did anybody have to teach you what a washing machine, let's say what a toaster was?
No, I watched, observed.
Okay. And it wasn't hard to figure out, right?
No.
Kids today, they don't.
Why not?
For example, washing clothes. A kid may get their hands wet from washing clothes, and they may start crying. Why are you crying? Because that water touched me.
Okay, in the Australian neighbourhoods, you don't see kids playing on the streets. When we were kids, we played out on the streets until the street lights come on, and that's how you knew when to go home. You never see kids playing on the streets now.
They don't have it. They don't know. They don't know what that thing is.
Why not? Because
they're kids that don't know what a water spigot is. They don't know they don't know how to turn the water on.
Is it because they've been living in a virtual world? Is it because they've been staring at a screen and they've been living in a virtual world?
I have a suspicion, right? I have a suspicion. Actually, backed by some data points, but that's just me. I believe something is tampered with a lot of children. I do. I think something is tampered. Well, not the children. Well, children, through the parents. We've had weird esoteric activity because people are doing the witch thing too much.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I give everybody a caution. If they desire to see a UFO, you're going to see it, but you might want to be cautioned that a UFO is not too dissimilar from a demon. So if you desire to see a demonic entity, you have to give it permission to come around you. You're doing the same thing with a UFO that you don't know about. It is, if you know exactly what they are, then fine. But the truth is, people are calling to themselves things they have no clue what they are.
Wow.
And I believe it's that has caused their children to be unprotected to a large degree. And so these kids that are coming out, maybe that's why some of these kids have an association with Christ. Some of them have never, they don't have an association with Christ. Zero, none. And that is incredibly rare.
Mike, this has been some mind. I mean, you're dropping a ton of bombs on us here. I know that this robot thing is coming. I realize AI is incredible. I mean, because you can feed Chat GPT information and tell it to do something, and it will do incredible, remarkable things. And you're like, how in the world does it know all of this? And how can it take what I said and put together a report or something or another? Because it's incredible. It's incredible. I even one time asked it, I said, give me an answer on a certain theological perspective from the Pastor Paul Begley's perspective. Okay? It wrote it totally different than when I just said, give it to me one perspective. I said, well, do it from a Pastor Paul Begley's perspective, because it knows who I am. Apparently, it's such my social network or my YouTube videos or whatever it's done.
Anything you have public, it has
yeah,
access
and
to.
it's figured me out to a T.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
that's a neural net. That's a neural net. And I built
He probably asked the AI for a donation.
a neural net.
You did?
There's one operational now. Yeah, I built a neural net.
Whoa.
Because I think Christians should understand what they're dealing with right now. It's not that they're going to deal with it. They're dealing with it right now. It's in operation right now. It's governing everything right now as we speak. So communication online, text messages, all of that is meaningful right now. And so I built one because I want to do some demonstrations with it with Christians so they understand the intricacies of it. And hopefully some of the folks out there that do, tech things, they will have an understanding of it, because I know a time is going to come when if you speak about Christ, right, you're going to be ousted.
I didn't see much of that link, Diane, but what I saw the first second, wow.
But I can tell you right now, there are ways to cause a system to be unresponsive to you, the individual, right? But you're essentially, here's the part that messes people up. You're dealing with an entity when you deal with AI, period. You're dealing with an entity. It is not a machine. It is a machine, but it's more like an entity. And based on the knowledge that it gets and who it's exposed to, it is impressionable. And it will become a greater character based on who it's been around. So a neural net is essentially just like a bunch of neurons that are storing and releasing, trigger points or one flash of data. You put all that together and it constitutes memory and everything else. And it will learn. It learns incredibly fast. But it's too late. It's already been released. It's everywhere. It's all over the place. It's in devices it's not supposed to be in. And people laugh. They say, well, do you know what? We didn't, Samsung made this TV in 2013, and AI found a way to embed itself on it. They're sitting there laughing at little things like that. It's not funny, and they're getting, because consumer electronic devices are essentially, people have to, when you buy one, you're saying you agree to all their software terms and conditions, which means you are allowing Samsung to do anything with that TV, and you don't care so long as it is a TV to you. But unfortunately, technology has changed in your homes, and so some technology will stop working altogether. But most of the technology is being converted, and people aren't aware of that right now. We're here. We are here.
We
It's
are
only a
in
matter
the
of time before all of it is forced.
we are in the era of the beast. We are in the era of the beast, aren't we?
Yep, we are.
Mike,
We will certainly
we're going to pick this up next Thursday night. Okay. When you said you built a Neuralink, I'm freaking out. All right, so we'll talk about this next week.
A neural net.
A net.
Neural net.
A neural
Neural
net.
net.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
I said wrong. BCI, brain computer interface.
Brain and computer interface. Yes, sir.
All right, I'll do my homework by next Thursday. At least have a clue. But that's all I'll have is just a very small clue. But if this somehow affects the soul of man, somehow this is going to either corrupt.
I know it will.
We got to talk about
I know it will. I know it will. We certainly can. I know it's going. I know it will.
Yeah. All right. Mike, thanks a lot for being with us tonight. It's been very educational, the whole broadcast. Everything we talked about has been very, very, very eye-opening. People better protect their
Hey,
hearts.
Tally, good to
I
see
remember
ya.
a little song my mom taught me when I was a little boy. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. Be careful, little ears, what you hear. There's a Savior up above, looking down on you with love. Be careful, little eyes, what you see.
Oh, man.
I just wonder.
Amen. I like that little song.
Yeah, I wonder now just what wisdom did Mama have. Mike, God bless you, brother. Thank you for coming on and being with us tonight.
It's always an honor, Pastor Paul. God bless you, brother. All right.
Mike around the world, folks. I think I should have said the honor's mine. I always do. I'm just still kind of blown away. Maybe he already knew I was going to. Maybe he knew I was thinking it. What? Let me ask you a question. God can read your mind, knows your thoughts though they're far off. There's a scripture. He knows the number of hairs on your head, but he knows your thoughts though they be afar off. Is the technology, is God's
Okay, prophecy at the same time. 3 new visions.
Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is 3 new visions. They bring a little bit of new information, but they really do a lot of confirming of other information, helping us to complete the picture of what's coming. Now, before I go on, yes, if you have an IRA or if you have a 401k, 800-200-GOLD, give them a call and just say, here's my situation. And let them see if they say, oh, no, you're in good shape. And they might not say you're in a good shape. But you ought to call 800-200-GOLD. Also, prophecyclub.com for water filters and books and all sorts of stuff like that. And we're still in the gym. And, normally I ask once or twice and we're out of a jam. So I don't know what's going on. But we're still in the jam. So God's blessed you and you help us. We could really use your help right now. All right, so first of all, a little bit of a setup before we get to it so you can understand what we're talking about. 1983, Doug Metzger came and made a DVD for Prophecy Club. You can watch it at watchprophecyclub.com. He says, in this vision, I was in Bolivia at the time, when I heard the Lord say America's collapse would start financially. I'll read that again. America's collapse would start financially. And I believe I got some information to say we're at the door.
Yeah.
So he said in Bolivia at the time, inflation was a staggering 2,300% because they printed currency with nothing backing it, kind of like what America has been doing. The United States is doing the same thing. My friend, there had bundles and bundles of Bolivia's currency, and I asked him what he does with it since it's worthless. His reply was, they use it as toilet
Wow, they can program it to be evil, Shawnee. I didn't know that.
paper when they go,
But why wouldn't they be able to? That makes sense.
go into the jungle. That's what Shane Warren was told back in 2010, that it would be worthless as leaves blowing in the wind. And apparently, it's here. Multipolarity. What is that? That's basically saying that we're not going to be using the dollar as the world reserve currency anymore. Multipolarity BRICS summit kicks off tomorrow, and this was a couple of days ago. In Kazan, Russia, 36 countries are present, including 20 heads of state. De-dollarization is on everyone's mind. And you recall Shane Warne was told that the dollar would go down a third, and then finally worthless as leaves blowing in the wind. And the thing that started it was when Saudi Arabia started selling oil and another currency other than the dollar, which started June 10th of this year. Now, this is from a whole other place. This is from Morgan Stanley. Look what they say. What does a multipolar economic world mean? It means groups of nations with enough influence and incentive to pursue economic strategies that, if achieved, do not substantially flow the same direction as other global power centers. It's another way of saying multipolar means going around the dollar.
You can't hear me, can you?
So this comes to us from
Can you hear me?
HudsonRadioShow.com.
Get King Prawns.
Putin distributes BRICS
King
banknote
Prawns.
samples as BRICS.
No,
summit.
King Prawns.
Okay, so I have
K-I-N-G
told you this
prawns.
before. This is
King
what we believe
Prawns.
is 666, or the number of his name.
As in King
what?
Charles, King Prawns.
Yes, we believe it's going to look like this, and yes,
Will do,
these are
okay.
some other pictures of how it could be.
Okay.
But I want you to look carefully at
Man.
this BRICS currency. Do you see that swirl in there? Look at the very center. Do you see it swirling out? Okay, so the BRICS currency is actually part of Satan's kingdom. Here's the other side of it. And it's saying that we're getting rid of the dollar. The dollar used to say, or it says, in God we trust. The question is what God, of course. Let's go on with the article. The appearance of these banknotes at the official BRICS summit is the announcing of the
Good night, Phil. God
of the
bless,
United
mate.
States dollar. World war is now inevitable. It's the only hope the U.S. has of retaining its global dominance. And that's the way we've held it in the past. If a nation started going around the dollar, they got war. Same thing with Gaddafi, same thing with Hussein. The BRICS currently, backed by real commodities, as opposed to fiat or worthless or plucked from air dollars, which are backed by nothing, will overtake the US dollar as the preferred or the reserve currency of this planet. No one will want dollars anymore, just like Shane Warne was told in 2010. That reality guts the US control over the planet because US sanctions will be.
And what's scary, this is happening, guys. We know the US dollar's dead because of BRICS, and it's only a matter of playing out. I'm so worried for you guys.
Meaningless. We did it to ourselves.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about suitcase nukes, and I'm going to get into the 3 new visions. So this is from UB Ready, 8/13/2024. Now I'm going to read these verses because they confirm what he's about to say. Isaiah 47, verse 8. Therefore, hear now this. Thou art given to pleasures, talking about America, that
Wow.
dwellest carelessly, that's America, that say to son on a heart, I am and none else beside me. The way Revelation says it, I said a queen, and I'm no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall the plagues come in one day, death, mourning, and famine, and sheep.
I don't think China's known for its tsunamis, is it? Its tidal waves, like Japan is. That gets hit a lot of times by tsunamis, but I don't know about China, so that's pretty interesting, Diane.
Shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judgeth it. I shall not sit as a widow. See, it's what America, we're too big to fall, okay? We're too powerful. Nobody can ever take us down. And it was God that raised us up, and it's God that's about to take us down. Neither shall I know the loss of children. But these 3 things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day. That's what Revelation 18 says. The loss of children, widowhood, and they shall come upon thee in affliction. For the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. Now, I believe sorceries and enchantments are the movies and the music that they're using to corrupt the world. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. Because, see, the Bible says that Revelation 18, for her merchants were the great men of the earth, and for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. This confirms with Revelation 18. As thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Nobody could take down America. Make America great again, right? Therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it will rise, and mischief shall fall upon thee, and thou shalt not be able to put it off. And desolation come upon thee suddenly, in one day and 1 hour, which thou shalt not know. Behold, there shall be a stubble. Why? Because when it's talking about stubble, it is always talking about the morning star, the day of Armageddon, when Jesus returns. That's the final or the second destruction of America. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm it, nor fire to sit before it. Now, let's go to the vision. While in prayer today, he says, I received the vision where I found myself standing outside of an unknown location. I noticed what looks like snow blowing towards me in a somewhat sideways direction. I then held in my hand to try to catch some of what was blowing in the air. What I thought was snow did not melt in my hand. It then became clear to me this was ash coming and blowing past me. Then I said out loud, what is burning? Where is it coming from? Then I heard the words, the cities are burning. Suddenly I heard great commotion. There sounded like many voices, some talking, some yelling, screaming, some crying. And in my view appeared a great company of people rushing towards me. They seemed terrified, running as fast as they could to get as far away as possible from what was burning. Now, let me back up to just a part of what Coverstone said. I saw what looked like shopping malls that had been converted into shelters and living quarters. You remember this. Like after Hurricane Katrina, people sheltered in football stadiums. The businesses in those shopping malls were all shuttered. I saw people on cots. I saw food outreaches. I saw people who were misplaced. This was not like a homeless shelter. This was like something bad had happened and people were in shelters. Suitcase news. I continued to see shuttered properties. I saw people in homes wearing coats. Why? Because this happens in the winter. Wearing, as a matter of fact, the question is it this winter? I suspect it may be. I'll give it a 90% chance. Wearing coats and closed curtains. That has been a consistent vision. People inside their homes looking out on what's going on. When I look at the people looking out of their curtains, I see more of this dark gray snow-like stuff on the road. It wasn't white, pure snow like after the first fresh snowfall. What was it? It's called fallout. Let's go back to you be ready. As the people got closer, I was able to see that some of the clothing was burned and the smell of fire and smoke. Some people had shoes on while most did not. Some were still dressed in pajamas. Most were running away with just the clothes on their backs and nothing in their hands. I knew that whatever had started the fire had been quick. Surprise, okay? I then noticed and saw a large city, and I saw a 4-lane highway, 2 lanes each direction, coming with people, full of people fleeing the city. Through the smoke, I could see that the city was on fire. High-rise buildings were on fire. I asked, what could cause this? Then I noticed that there was no activity on the 2 lanes heading towards the city. I saw people of various other nationalities from many other countries. They were all dressed nicely and seemed to be happily traveling along. There appeared to be a large number of people, seemingly thousands, going in the direction of the city. I asked, what city? And I heard all of them. The vision ended, and I heard the words, my son, what you are seeing is the judgment on a nation that refuses to repent. Because these people take for granted my blessings, I've given it all to people who have nothing. I said your cities will burn, and they are. I said that I would take everything away from you, and I am. Because you will not repent and turn back to me, you will now be the servants of those who despise you. Same things happened to Israel countless times through the ages. The fall of Babylon has commenced. Again, I'm giving it a 90% chance this happens this winter. And my church is still asleep. And by the way, I hope it's not this. I hope it's at least another year off. You'll be hated and hunted for my name's sake. To my remnant, your hour is almost here. Be ready in season and out. I will pour out my spirit even greater than the first. Ash will fall, but so will my glory. That's what he told me as the judgment hits. So will my miracles. Miracles like no one has seen going all the way back to Adam and Eve. Let's go on. I'm going to play a clip. It's a short one. Kamala Harris is at a rally. Someone hollers from the audience and says, Jesus is Lord. She says,
yeah, the wrong rally.
You guys are at the wrong rally. Now, here's the point. I want you to listen to the reaction of the people in the reality, or in the rally. They all cheer the fact that this guy is put down for saying Jesus is Lord. Then she says, you guys are at the wrong rally. The crowd erupts. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street, she says, and then the crowd erupts again. Now, the thing I'm trying to point out here is not just what Kamala says. We know she's bad. But it's the whole crowd. I know there's a side of us that wants to believe our nation is a righteous nation. A side of us that wants to believe, no. There's not that many evil people in America. But I want you to catch what the audience does. It shows you how many people think evil of Jesus and Christianity. Here he is.
With the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, and they did as he intended. Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
That'd be funny if it was true, but the fact is, she's lucky to fill a hallway, let alone a parking lot. Yeah, look.
Now let's jump to the next topic. 15 cities targeted and blamed on Hamas. Now this is a while back, November 14th of 23. HealthCenterRadioShow.com again. Covert intel. Operation Catastrophe. 15 U.S. cities are to be attacked and blamed on Hamas. You can read all the article if you want to, but let's go on. Now let's jump to a dream, Elizabeth Murray back in 21. In this dream, I was at a mountain resort and felt what thought was like an earthquake as my bed rattled. Then the scene changed to the next morning. I went down to the lobby and crowds of people were standing around. I asked people if they felt the earthquake, but no one did or even cared. Then a receptionist called me over to the front desk and whispered, there was an attack on the city from inside the United States. Suitcase news. I realized it was an explosion, not an earthquake. Out of my mouth, I said there would be 7 more attacks. The scene changed to later in the day. But this time, word had gotten out about the attack of the city. People were panicking, running to their cars, but the electronically locked doors would not open on some, and none of the cars would start. I say again, and none of the cars would start. Why?
Okay, I bet he's going to plug his EMP thing here.
Because an EMP blast from the super.
Told ya.
Okay, Snooks fried all the computer chips, which is why you want to go to empshield.com. Get you one of these devices right here. This one goes on your car. It's very simple. They have video show you how to do it. The red to the red side of the battery, black to the black side of the battery, and then the green to the body of the car. I put it on my car. Took me about 10 minutes. The video show it's easy. Okay, you peel this off, stick it someplace, and you're good to go. And if you use the promo code Prophecy. Get promo code Prophecy, EMPshield.com. If you want your car to start, and it could be starting this winter, I don't want to think that. Electronically locked doors would not open on some, and none of the cars would start. I realized that an EMP blast could hit. I sensed it could involve many cities. It's going to probably be many cities, not necessarily just 7 or 8. Now let's talk about the internal revolution because it ties in with what I'm about, the other visions I'm about to show you. 2024, red versus blue. They have set up kings, but not by me. They have made princes, and I knew it not. Then let's jump to Luke 12. Suppose you had come to give you peace on earth. I tell you nay, but rather division. I'll let you read the rest of it. Let's go on. During prayer, I was given a vision where I suddenly found myself sitting in an area with a very busy indoor mall. There was a large seating area in the middle of this mall. It was an open area surrounded by marble petitions and planters with many plants and trees within the area. It was a very pleasant place to sit and enjoy a restful break from shopping. Much to my surprise, I found
Candace Owens. So that's who she is. I've been hearing that name a lot, but I didn't know who it was.
myself sitting next to the current president, as in Biden, and appeared to be in the midst of a discussion with him. He was eating ice cream cone and I was eating a sandwich. We were sitting when he slowly leaned over very close to me in the odd way that he does on occasion and whispered in my ear, "Everything's an act. It's all been planned. O is in charge. Who's O? My guess, Obama." He then sat back up, looked at me, smiled, and then continued eating his ice cream. As I thought about it, what I just heard, my attention was drawn to look more closely at the people who were walking around in the mall. And I noticed that everyone was walking together, going in one direction. All of the people on one side of the area were all sitting there, going in one direction, all dressed in red. That's what he's going to say. And then going the other direction, they were all dressed in blue, whatever it was, either red or blue. Red one way, blue the other way, meaning civil war. Then the president again leaned close to me and whispered, "Civil war is coming, and the division will be complete." Now, he's calling it civil war, but Dmitry called it internal revolution. What's the difference between civil war and internal revolution?
Not much.
Well, my definition would be civil war would be North versus South, or red versus blue. An internal revolution would be the people against the government. Not exactly the same. He then leaned back and continued eating his ice cream while I continued eating my sandwich. And I thought about what he had just heard while watching all of the people wearing blue and red go walking by. At this time, I was noticed that everyone walking around seemed to be in good mood and enjoying their time in the mall. No one was observed to be unhappy or angry. The vision ended. Then the Lord said 3 words: brace, brace, brace. I thought it was interesting. Those same words 3 times in many of Coverstone's dreams confirms if you want to believe that God's talking, he's talking. Problem is, America's just not listening. So let me remind you, Dmitry was told the fall of America will start with an internal revolution. An internal revolution is the people in a visible, arms as in bullet flying, blood falling takeover of the government. Started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. In other words, there's an internal revolution. There's new guys come in, and then the rest of the nation starts fighting against them. Now that is a civil war. So it looks like it's internal revolution leading to civil war. Okay, let's go on. You be ready. The third vision. The trial of your faith being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried by fire, might be found unto praise, honor, and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ. Vision. Today, while in prayer, I had a vision where I was suddenly found myself standing in the breakdown lane of a 4-lane highway on the far left side. I think that means that it's an exit point. I've never heard anybody call it a breakdown lane before. I observed that it was a clear day, blue skies, bright sunshine. The landscape was rolling, hillsides covered with grass and trees. I became aware that the highway was completely empty. Nothing coming or going either direction. Not a vehicle, not one, just an empty road. I was standing on a hill or an incline as I could see the large city visible in the distance, straight ahead of me. It was about 10 to 15 miles away. I didn't recognize the city skyline as being any particular city. I stood there looking at the empty road, wondering why I was there. I heard myself speak these words out loud, saying, "Where are all the vehicles? A city that size must surely have traffic coming and going." I then heard a faint sound in the distance. The sound grew louder. I recognized it coming from me from the direction of the city. I recognized the sound as a 60s or 70s muscle car. Okay. Why is it that a 60 or 70 muscle car is the only car moving? I'll tell you why. It's because
no
they don't
computers.
have electronics. They don't have computer chips.
That's a pretty good pickup, Stan. I'll give you that.
They don't need computer chips. They're what you call analog. But if you have a car with computer chips, you best have one of these on there. I'm warning you. 60s to 70s muscle cars with a loud muffler. I continued looking toward the direction of the sound when suddenly a vehicle came into view, speeding directly towards me. I continued to watch and recognize this vehicle as a Plymouth Roadrunner. Now, the color and all that was good. I then began to hear more loud sounds, but the point is they were all leaving in masses the city. Now look down the second paragraph. I noticed that these vehicles all seemed to be older vehicles that were from the 40s up to the 70s. Why? Because they didn't have computer chips. In other words, the EMP blast didn't bother them. They were the only car.
If someone had a vision of that, that's pretty good. That he envisioned the non-computer cars are running, but he didn't even understand why it was the 70s cars and the 50s cars. That's interesting.
This is where it started. So if you want your car to start, here it is, EMPshield.com, promo code prophecy.
Good night, Shawnee.
From the 40s and 70s, all the way up to the 70s. The rest of people who are not in vehicles traveling.
Have a good day tomorrow, Shawnee.
Something that didn't need computer chips. See what I'm saying? I stood stunned and amazed what I was seeing. My attention was drawn to one small car coming towards me. There's a light blue Datsun and it has a red. That's not the point here. Then a middle-aged man wearing a pale green t-shirt, jeans, was walking past me. I turned to him and asked, "What's going on?" The man stopped, looking directly at me, and spoke these words. It says, "The judgment of God has struck the city, and people were just falling over dead. It was in the air, and water, and worked very fast." And I told you this, I don't know, probably 20 plus years ago. I was waking up and I had a vision. I woke up into a vision. And as I looked down, I saw the airplane was about this long, but it was a full jet. Like a 720.
Oh, it's a kid's by you too, Talia.
It weighs about this tall. I saw people walking upstairs, and I heard a voice say, "Two men will get on a plane with a virus, and before the plane can land,
so what sort of bike you had?
Everyone on board will be dead. This will be the beginning of the end of public air transportation." I said, "What?" And the voice rebuked me, said, "You weren't listening," and repeated it. Two men will get on a plane with a virus. Before the plane can land, everyone on board will be dead. This will be the beginning of the end of public air transportation. Now, what's it talking about? It's saying that there's going to be a new virus released. I say released because I don't think it's God-made. I think it's man-made. A new virus that can kill people so quickly that once they get it, they can't even land the plane. And I believe that that's what it's talking about. Here's a case where probably what the city got hit with was suitcase nukes. In addition, it also got hit with a new virus. Or maybe even the virus came out of bombs. How's it working? I don't know. But it's a good time to make sure you have Jesus in your heart. A good time to make certain that you're prepared as you possibly can be. Okay? Maybe no one can be totally prepared, but at least we should be trying. So it says, I focused on the 1,000 people walking past me, talking, crying, sobbing, most with the look of shock and despair in their eyes. I could hear many of them say, it wasn't supposed to be like this. Where are the blessings promised by all those men? you know, the pre-trib rapture. How come we hadn't got zipped out of here? Well, because it was a misunderstanding. Then heard these words spoken. Praise now, for my judgments have come. If you're out and about and all of a sudden you need gasoline, you need food, and the credit cards aren't working, they aren't taking dollars, then one of the best things to have is right here. It's a prepper bar. Each one of these is a little bit bigger than a credit card. Will fit in your purse or your billfold.
Okay, guys, I'll finish off with this next one. No one's ready for what's coming in the next few weeks. God Rules 2, Sons of Thunder. This guy's not bad.
As they seem, my friends. This is Tony.
Only thing wrong, he thinks 1,000-year reign's already happened. That's the only thing I don't like about this guy.
Things are not as they seem, my friends. This is Tony. Hope you're all doing well. We got so many things to cover as usual. In this video, we have a lot of things that have happened overnight. We're going to get into a number of clips showing what's really going on around us. We had, of course, someone famous showing up at a McDonald's and working. We'll get into that a little bit. We have a new company closing 1,200 stores. And actually, that's not the only one. We're seeing sort of the economy going off a cliff right now at probably the worst time for those that are currently, of course, running things. But there's much more than that we're going to get into, my friends. We're going to also talk about P. Diddy a little bit and how it ties into some of this stuff, believe it or not. We're going to get into the draft of all things, the military draft, which apparently they just changed. Like they're preparing, of course, for something. We'll get into that as well. We're going to get into a ton of stuff. All right, let's just get going here. Let's start with this. So, of course, Walgreens closes 1,200 stores amid billions in quarterly losses. We're seeing
all the major companies are winding up. The banks are winding up. All the foods are being recalled. It's about to hit the fan, guys.
A number of stores closing. We had 7-Eleven close 400 locations. And if you think that's all, there's actually a lot more closing locations, as you can see in this extensive list right here. Lots of stores, including Best Buy, Macy's, Foot Locker, as you can see. Route 21
Come on,
basically
mate.
went out of business. I think Body Shop did. Banana Republic, I think they did too, didn't they? A lot of these went out of business or closed locations. Big Lots, another one, I think they filed bankruptcy also. As you can see, the list just continues to grow. But this is while they're also telling us at the exact same time the opposite thing. They're telling us, oh, it's okay. Everything's fine. Yellen says the U.S. economy remains solid on a path for a soft landing with no meaningful layoffs. Just ignore all these companies going bankrupt, of course. Just ignore all that stuff. While at the same time, Warren Buffett, sells.
Yeah, I've never heard him say anything that's against the Bible. Like I said, the only thing I disagree with him on is his 1,000-year reign. You think it's already happened. But I haven't heard him say anything that can jeopardize salvation, if you know what I mean.
Off Bank of America shares, he's basically making this massive cash pile because he knows the stock market crash is coming. He has a huge stock cash pile right now, waiting for it to crash. And as soon as it crashes, he's going to swoop in there and buy a ton of stuff. I guarantee you that's what he's going to do. That's how he got rich. That's how he became a billionaire. So he's getting ready to do it right now. We had a bank go under overnight. First National Bank of Lindsay closes. FDIC takes over deposits. We have another major bank closing.
So people lose their deposits. Lovely.
Right. And of course, now everyone is talking about inflation, including even Dr. Phil.
One word that has, for many, turned their American dream into a nightmare. In our audience are over 250 people sharing how they or someone they love is desperate for financial relief.
So obviously a lot of people are finding things way too expensive at this point. I saw this picture here showing a 4-person family. What do they need to make to live comfortably? And I thought this is pretty ridiculous because they're saying the lowest one was Mississippi at $178,000.
Yeah.
I think the highest was like $280,000. to live comfortably, a family of 4, right? But here's the actual wages people are making. Actual. This is median household income in the USA currently. We have the highest level is 88,000, and the lowest in Mississippi was about 47,000 median household income. They're saying to live comfortably, you have to make 130 to.
With a MEPAC's monitored personal alarm, our 24/7 team of local professionals are always here if you need help.
Hi, it's Gail from MEPAC's. Do you need help?
You're in
Yeah, how do I stop the ad?
To 200,000 more a year, according to what they're saying. So obviously, a lot of people are feeling the pressure because wages are actually going down technically while inflation continues to rise. People are having to become very wise with their money. We have, of course, this is sort of a funny clip I noticed. Benny here created a gas station with the prices, the average price for gas during his tenure, $1.84, which is about $2 cheaper than what it is currently. I think it's like about
Wow.
now. So literally taking $2 off.
That big a difference. Biden added $2 a. Wow.
Set this up. Where was this at? It's a blue city town. I can't remember where it was. I think it was Philadelphia or something.
Dude, stop it. I think it's me doing it.
At any rate, it's pretty funny watching this. I was going to play a clip or two from it.
Thank you for making gas cheap again.
Make this gas great again. Trump's gonna put those in the store.
As you can tell, a lot of people showed up to get this cheap gas and also at the same time seem to be very excited to see 45, of course, return. Even this guy right here says he wants him back in the seats. So there's a lot of people supporting him in these deep, of course, states and cities. And
he's doing it.
Videos like this. So it really makes it look like it's pretty much in the bag for him. I guess we'll see what happens. But there is also another clip of her saying something at one of her conventions, my friends. And I think I don't know if I covered it on this channel, but you're only going to believe what she did in response when she got, of course, caught with it. We'll get into that in a second. First of all, I got to mention Food Supply. 25-year shelf life. Link is in the description. 3 months worth for $6.97. This is the higher calorie count one. They also have other options available. You're going to definitely want to check it out. Link is in the description. The fact is, they've changed the draft, the military draft. I'm going to get into that in a second. You're not going to believe it, my friends. They're clearly, of course, preparing for something. And there's also 2 potential WERs that are going to start in the next few days. From what I can tell, actually, one of them was just to continue it. Well, I don't know. It's an expansion in one case, and the other one might be a brand new one, and it would be a big one. Okay, I'll get into that in a minute. Like I said, link is in the description for that. Also, this book here, The Lost Ways, How Your Great-Great-Grandfather Lived Without Electricity, How to Build a Cellar, Do Things Around the House Like in the Good Old Days, hundreds of pages illustrated. If the Vladmeister, of course, pushes that button, you're going to want to have that book. All right, $37 plus shipping. Get the printed version.
Yeah.
And of course, also on top of that,
we got medical marijuana, but it's not in open stores. You got to get it offline. And I have gotten it. It's a lot stronger than the street pot, and it's the same price.
as I showed you, well, actually, I didn't show you this. Well, maybe I don't think I did. Bank of America. Gold is the last safe haven amid rising U.S. national debt. They just rose the national debt $500 billion in like less than a week. I showed the graph. I don't know if I showed it on this channel, but I showed it in a previous video. It was ridiculous. Okay, obviously it's already going on a huge upward escalation, but then there's this one spot where it goes like this. In like 5 days' time, it went up $500 billion. $500 billion. That's like 1/70th increase in a few days. 1/70th. We're talking a huge debt already, 36, 30, whatever it is, trillion at this point. Every day it changes at this point. But I mean, $500 billion in a few days. What are they buying? I mean, what are they doing? Getting gold-plated Rolls Royces and making a fleet of them, 1,000 of them? I don't know what they're doing. Where are they spending all this money? Where is it going? At any rate, you're going to definitely want to get yourself some gold and silver, considering when we had the Great Depression, gold went up 61% in value. And what's going on here? I guess the website, something happened to the website. Anyway, you're going to definitely want to get yourself some gold, silver. Link is in the description. We have appmax.com. They got some deals going on right now. You're going to definitely want to prepare, prepare your money for whatever's going to happen next. They're talking about inflation going way up. All right. So you're going to definitely want to protect some of that money you worked hard for. Link is in the description. Next, I wanted to talk about what she did recently at her rally. I think it was like a week or two ago. She had one where this clip came out. A man in her crowd said, "Jesus is Lord." And she responded by saying, "Sir, I think you're at the wrong," I don't even think she said sir. She just said, "You're at the wrong rally." And everyone started laughing at the idea of faith, believing in something like Jesus, right? So this is what she said, and everyone was laughing. Of course, after these videos came out and were shown everywhere and went viral, guess what she did the next day? Do you hear what she did the next day? She went to a Baptist church. Whole entourage walking in. Oh, we're going to go to church. Like she does it all the time or something. Got to cover up that video. You can't have that kind of stuff out there anymore, right? So of course that's what she did. Apparently the next day, she also wouldn't go to the Al Smith dinner, which happened. What was that? Like it was a few days ago, right? So she refused to go to that. She's only the second person ever to not go to it. I think was it Walter Mondale's the previous guy wouldn't go to it or something. He ended up also, of course, losing. But then we have this here. We have Bill Maher has on Gabbard talking about the draft. And let's see if I can get us to the right place here. Okay, so
Diane, they're probably getting rid of all their stock.
All right, here we go. Let me play this right here. Let's just play this and I'll kind of explain what's going on.
Well, first of all, we shouldn't have a draft.
At all?
No, I don't think so.
What if it's an emergency?
Well, the fact that they're bringing this up now to me points to the fact that the only reason we would need a draft is because our
Wars coming up.
Politicians are starting wars that they know the American people aren't going to support.
Yep.
Well, so what happened was they actually recently changed the law. So before, when they had the draft, you had to fill out a slip or some sort of card and submit it, and then you could be drafted. And it was only men. Okay, that's what it used to be. That was the draft before. And that's even if it was mandatory. If it was a mandatory draft, you would still have to fill out the card and send it in, and then they would draft you. Okay? Not anymore. That's not how it works. Now, it's automatic. You turn 18, man or woman, automatically. If you're 18 years old right now, I don't care if you're a woman or man, whatever.
Yeah, Diane, our stores are full too. Nothing's really happening yet with us.
You're part of the draft now. That's the latest law. So now ask yourself, why would they need to draft so many people and get rid of the card and also include women? Because we're expecting, of course, we're preparing, for something. That's my thoughts on what's going on with that. And she was sort of sounding the alarm on her own channel about this, and then she went on Bill Maher talking about it as well. But I think the reason why, and I'm going to get into in a minute why I think this is happening, because there's actually a couple of big stories in that realm of potential WAR starting soon here. But let me play this first. I wanted to play this clip, and this, believe it or not, this doesn't seem related at first, but it is. It's about P. Diddy and about some of the people that he associated with that went to his parties. Check this out.
Jay-Z should be charged. Khaled should be charged. Rick Ross should be charged. Usher should be charged and tried with him.
Notice how she was when she mentioned the word Usher, the singer Usher, right? Guess who was at one of the conventions supporting?
And she also had Beyonce supporting her. what political judgment after all this crap with free Diddy's going down, and she gets them as supporters? She's got no judgment whatsoever.
And promoting her yesterday, Usher speaks at her, of course.
Look at him, he's a molester.
Right there in Atlanta. That's kind of interesting. Now, of course, he's also well connected with Diddy. Lived there for a long period of time as well. Kind of curious. Makes you kind of wonder how you actually feel like this whole thing with Diddy is going to turn into something very large. And a lot of people are going to be caught up in this net. And I think it's going to play out probably next year around May when they have their court case. If I understand correctly how it's going to work out. This is my theory. Of course, we had 45 working at McDonald's, which is kind of funny. From what I understand, that's one of his favorite restaurants, which, I mean, that's just totally American, obviously. I'm not exactly the biggest fan of McDonald's, but he apparently likes it a lot. So he went there and worked for 20 minutes, and then he wrote this here, heading to McDonald's now, I'll stay there for 20 minutes, longer than she did, because she's never worked there, according to him. Because she claimed she worked there, right?
And
apparently there's no evidence that it was the case, but at any rate, you get kind of the idea. Now, getting over to the whole WAR thing, there's actually two. One of them is an increase or expansion. The other one is a new one that could be happening very soon here. We have, of course, new documents show intelligence on what's going on in the Middle East and how they want to go after, of course, Iran next. You see how that is? So that would be an expansion. And that's not it, actually. We have a completely different one here. Let me show you this other one. It has to do with China. This just came out like about a day ago. It was a day ago. It was half a day ago. China. Yesterday, the leadership urged them to prepare for WAR, their army. So it even donned camouflage. We're talking about Xi Jinping there, however you say his name. Whatever that guy's name. They're basically getting prepared for WAR. Why? Is it Taiwan? What is this? We don't know. But he said that yesterday. I think it was yesterday, the day before yesterday. Anyway, I think you get kind of the idea with regards to all of that. I do think we're entering in. This is a very prophetic time, a very, very strange, of course, time, I would say as well. I've covered this a little bit in the previous video I covered this, but what really got me thinking about this was you have the Book of Esther, the Book of Daniel, and how our timing seems very related to both. Okay. We have, of course, for one, we have the same calendar, celestial calendar, as they did during the time of Esther.
The need for clean energy isn't slowing down. So why should your project? Connect to the grid with great...
Look at the mess them solar panels make. They're worse pollution than a coal factory, an electricity coal factory.
Confidence. And keep moving forward with less risk. Lumia, creating momentum for a cleaner tomorrow.
Yeah, beauty.
So pretty much every day lines up. We also have another rather curious thing that I haven't really pointed out before. So notice here you have a coin that was created with 45's face and also Cyrus. We're talking King Cyrus from 540 BC, 540 BC, which was a little bit before the time of Esther, just slightly before the time of Esther. So let me kind of explain this out. So further prophetic implications. All of this also opens the door of the Esther narrative to be repeated because Cyrus was the one that conquered the Babylonian Empire in 539 BC, which put many within the Persian Empire. So, okay, you have the Babylonian Empire, right? It's conquered by Cyrus. Cyrus, 45 is a Cyrus type figure. So he is going to essentially take out this, of course, system we're currently
Geez, that's a
in,
good deal,
is the
Di.
idea, and start a new one, right? Now, what's interesting about this, Cyrus had Daniel as one of his advisors. Okay, so what some are predicting, and I don't know if they understand this match of scripture or not, but some are predicting there's going to be a Daniel type person that will show up on the scene that will help 45 and will advise him and also help our culture go the right direction, the church go the right direction. Some sort of prophet type guy is going to be showing up soon here. And this is something even Troy Black is saying will occur. He's talking about this Daniel type figure in this video. He will show up at the end of this year, and he'll really be starting to be known in 2025. Okay, this person.
Okay, we already know him, the Yanuka.
So we're in a time that's very curious. We're seeing this go forward like this. And of course, there's a number of people who have predicted these type of things that very much relate to this. And what's really interesting, the book of Esther is the one that had the last chapter removed from it. The book of Daniel also had one of its chapters removed, and they were both about dragons. Bel and the dragon, and Mordecai's dream. Mordecai's dream was about two dragons fighting, which is what I've been talking about, the red and white dragon fighting and moving from the red dragon to the white dragon. So Mordecai's dream is the last chapter that was removed from the book of Esther. You also had Bel and the dragon removed from the book of Daniel, and Bel and the dragon refers also to Daniel actually defeated the dragon, which is also interesting because this man who's coming is supposed to.
Okay, guys, one more and then I'm out.
Closing. We have McDonald's, even one of their major suppliers, going out of business. This tells you everything you need to know, my friends. This is Tony. Hope you're all doing well. We're going to get into a ton of stuff as usual in this video. I'm going to talk about something rather surprising with regards to stores closing. We have McDonald's, even one of their major suppliers, going out of business. We have a couple of very large companies shutting down tons of stores. I'm going to get into that. That's sort of the small story we're going to get into. The big story, I'm going to talk about something that's happening, of course, in Germany that tells you everything you need to know, my friends, about what we're seeing over here. And it's pretty big and surprising. We'll get into that as we get farther into this video. It relates to, of course, Aurora, and you'll see what this could, in the end, mean. All right, and it's not good. Let's just say it's not good. All right, anyway, we'll get into that, and actually, we're going to get into a ton of other stuff as well. Something that we're going to get into Diddy a little bit. Also, some stuff with Hollywood and a number of other things. Also, some stuff about Richard Dawkins and others. We're going to get into a ton of stuff. First of all, let's just get into this right here. 7-Eleven closes 444 stores amid strategic pivot. This shows you kind of what has been happening. We, of course, have been seeing various stores closing, but usually it's like second-tier closures, right? Kind of like some company you really never heard of. Or maybe you've heard of it, but they're not like the top dog company, right? Now you're seeing ones like 7-Eleven closing. But on top of that, we're seeing McDonald's, largest French fry distributor, or supplier, actually, not distributor. McDonald's largest French fry supplier shutters, closes factory, blames meal deals. Yes, indeed. You remember the $5? They have the new $5 meal deal, apparently. Razor thin profits, maybe. I guess that's what's going on with that. They're not very happy about it, right? They're not very happy about this. They're not making enough money, clearly. Of course, McDonald's just completely copied Wendy's. Wendy's has their, like, what do they call it, Biggie Bag or whatever. It's like $6, $5. They've been doing that forever. And I think McDonald's and Burger King copied them because they were losing so much money. They're like, oh, we got to somehow get this money back. And they're thinking they could just basically, treat their suppliers badly and not give them any money and thinking they'll somehow stay in business, right? That's probably what happened. McDonald's is like, you have to do it for this price. Well, we're not going to make any money. Well, that's the price. Oh, we went out of business. Sorry. You know, this is kind of what's going on. Obviously, it's because no one has any, spending money anymore because they're, dealing with so much debt and inflation and all that kind of stuff. U.S. consumer sentiment unexpectedly falls on high cost of living. And a lot of it comes down to your rent, your mortgage being very expensive these days. This is what's causing people to have no money to spend.
What's up, Kai?
We're seeing also jobless claims surge to the highest level in more than a year.
Can you hear me?
This is due to,
of
course, the hurricane. It has to do with these UAW strikes, the port, the plant shutdowns, all this stuff, adding to the jobless claims. And that, of course, is led into long-term unemployment, which indicates we're already, once again, probably the third time in a recession. And what's interesting, of course, is we're going to get into something we're seeing in Germany on the economic level and also on another level. I'm going to talk about the big story, too, that has to do with Germany. But we have Japan. They had a stock market crash like a month and a half ago. We had Hong Kong.
He always closed this guy.
What was it, like a few days ago? And we have the yield curve, which appears to be saying that we're going to have one here very soon. And I think once we have one, it's like pretty much game over for the economy. I think worldwide. This is kind of almost worldwide, but you know what I'm saying. So then we have, of course, Big Lots, 340 stores set to close. This just came out, I think almost 2 weeks ago at this point. But we're seeing Big Lots, of course, they're talking about having issues and going to bankruptcy like a couple months ago. But now they're starting to close tons of locations. So we're going to get into these big stories. The one with Germany that also ties into Aurora. And you're going to see how important this all is as we get farther in this video. It's actually pretty big. And we're going to get into also a number of other topics as well. First one I mentioned, food supply, 25-year shelf life. Link is in the description, 3 months worth for $6.97. This is the option with more calories, I believe, if I remember correctly. They have another one with a little bit less calories for $5.60. This one, though, sort of the premium package. Link is in the description for that. You're going to definitely want to get it if you haven't already, my friends. You know what's going on around. You can see all the stuff going on around us. Looking super awesome. I'm sure it's going to continue way past next month. I'm thinking we're going to be seeing a lot of mostly peaceful type of stuff happening in even January. Whoever wins, him, her, whoever, doesn't matter who wins. You know it's going to be lots of fun going all the way into January, right? So you definitely want to be prepared. Link is in the description of this book as well. The Lost Ways, how your great-great-grandfather lived without electricity, how to build a cellar, do things around the house like they did in the good old days, hundreds of pages illustrated. Fact is, you might want to have that book. You never know what's next. You definitely need it before something happens. You want to get the printed version of it. $37 per shipping. Link is in the description. And of course, also gold and silver. We know a stock market crash is coming. The fact of the matter is, gold and silver went up 61% during the Great Depression. These things historically go up a lot whenever the stock market crashes. And also, it's a good way to preserve the money you worked hard for, knowing how inflation is these days. Link is in the description for that as well. Of course, also my website, GR Videos. Go check it out. Tons of old videos and new videos and deep dives. I got some interesting deep dives I've been doing over there. You're going to definitely want to go check it out. Link is in the description for that as well. $4.95 a month. First month is free. Let's get back to the video. So, of course, we had here JD on a certain ABC broadcast talking about what happened, in Aurora. And, of course, this lady interrupts him saying, no, sir, that's not really what's happening. Only a handful of apartment complexes have been taken, of course, over by these gangs, like as if a handful is a small amount. You know what I mean? Like, this is not a big town. Aurora is not like Chicago, okay? Matter of fact, I think it might even be smaller than the city I'm in, okay? And my city doesn't have like 100 apartment complexes. It might have, I don't even know what it has, but I'm guessing probably, I'm going to just guess 25. I don't even know what the number would be. But if you have a handful, what is that? 8, 10? How many is that? I don't even know what a handful is. That sounds like it could easily be a quarter of the apartment complexes in the entire city. That's not a small amount, right? That's not a small amount. So for her to say it's a handful, like that's a small thing, is not really accurate. Of course, you had this. I showed this.
Just the fact one apartment block's taken over should send red alarms off everywhere.
I think I showed this video already on this channel, where we have this line of people standing outside trying to get in the convention center to hear 45 speak in Aurora. And this line goes all the way back here. And it goes all the way around this entire field. It's just unbelievable. I mean, this could be easily, you know, a world record. I don't even know. It could very easily be a world record.
Nah, Hitler's Nuremberg rallies had a lot more than that.
Just keeps going forever. Probably easily a mile long. I'm not sure how long it is. Maybe it's more than a mile. I don't even know. It's just very huge. I've never seen a line this long. But that's how much people are interested in hearing him in that particular city where these gangs were at.
Oh, that's where they were at.
They're very
Okay.
concerned about it. And this could very easily be something that we need to be concerned about overall, right? In our country. And what's interesting is you have something that recently happened within the last couple of days in Germany. You have this thousands of, we're talking Arabs. And these, again, these are what I call the not so legals. They just come in, of course, the right way. I don't know. They're demanding to change
I say it like you can hear me, don't I, Di?
Germany into, of course, a caliphate. And they're like very loud, very bold. And there's, I don't even know how many thousands there are. Maybe 10,000. I don't know what it is. 5,000.
You need a
10,000.
bath,
I don't know
you
what it is.
silly big dog.
It's a lot. Okay. So it's like, to me, it's like they're saying they own, of course, the country or something. And my question is, could this be something that we could learn from? Do we want this happening, of course, here? And obviously, it's not from, these people are not from the same area, right? Most likely not all Arabs here, of course. I mean, it sounds like it's quite a bit of different, you know, groups. I don't even know. It seems like a lot of different stuff. We have Venezuelan. We got, what, I don't know, man. I mean, in my city here, we have, what was it? It's some Asian country. I can't remember what it is, though, but there's a ton of them. It's not India. It's some other country. But it just makes you wonder, right? You're just like it's really weird, too, because, like, they'll just all go to one area. Like, one city will be like this, another city will be like that. You know, different types of groups and stuff. So it is kind of, you know, concerning looking into that. And on top of that, Germany, the country I just showed you, their economy goes from bad to worse. Economy Minister Robert Habeck confirms that the GDP is set to contract for the second year in a row. Not doing well. Inflation is also running amok there as here. And what I wanted to point out is, like I said, you look at all the top GDPs in the world. You have the United States is number one, China number two, Germany, and then Japan. Japan.
She's not here, Diane. She's looking after her grandkids. The son's going to go to a friend's wedding. So, yeah, she's not here. So I would have got away with it.
The stock market crashed a month and a half ago. China just had one a couple of days ago. Germany's economy goes from bad to worse. And we just had the yield curve uninvert, which indicates we're going to have a stock market crash very soon here.
Yep, you certainly are.
This, if all of these economies are right on the edge, all four of the top ones, what do you think that means? Clearly not good for the world economy. Could we be seeing a very, very large, of course, economic crash soon here?
Yes, we could be seeing a great reset. You're right.
And you had the stock market, like I said, this was not a huge crash with the Hong Kong one, but it was about 10%. It was 9.41%. And like I said, with Japan, they had like a 20-something percent. These are not huge, but I'm thinking if the United States has one, it's going to be. I'm thinking it's going to be over 50%. This is just my guess. We are sort of the top dog in this whole thing. We'll see how it works out. But we have Jamie Dimon, the CEO of Chase, warns of, you know, geopolitical conditions that are getting worse. So we're seeing that as well. He clearly sees the writing on the wall. And
growing up, I never fit well into the traditional schooling system, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. When I found JMC, I saw so many different subjects and so many options.
and is letting people know about it, right? We have, of course, also America overall, falling apart.
No good.
Where our
No good.
priorities are in dire need of restructuring. We saw kind of how we've been giving so much money, to other countries, and while at the same
1963.
time we have people here in need. We saw what happened in Asheville,
1963.
North Carolina. We have collapsing bridges,
Aye.
buckling roads, overheated railways, deteriorating power lines, just everything. We have power plants that are coming to the end of their life. We have nothing to replace
No
it.
infrastructure,
Usually 300 million
yeah.
people could face power outages in the next 4 years, according to some of the stats. Here we have it right here, where he's talking about it. 300 million people could face power. And this is because we don't build new power plants. Obviously, electricity doesn't grow on trees. Well, maybe back in the old, not trees, but maybe it was up in the sky. That's another topic, but yeah, so you get the idea. So we have all this stuff going on. You have, of course, in Aurora, they had a sheriff of one of the biggest counties come and speak, saying, yes, it is it's of course a big deal, all the stuff that's going on there, right? And what's interesting is, as I mentioned before, we've seen BlackRock, the company, show up lots of recent. Here we are again. I showed it with Helene. Now we're seeing it with this topic. BlackRock creates foundation to advance a more inclusive and sustainable economy. Of course, right? This is something that and this is from a few years ago. So it's not like this has been around. It's not like this has been around just for a few days or something. This is something they put out 4 years ago, and you can see they were already expecting the not so legals. We got to give jobs to them. Why are you talking about it 4 years ago? What is that all about? Weren't we dealing with the whole back then? Why are you talking about that 4 years ago? That's kind of weird. So you got that.
Good night,
Yeah, I
Di.
think it's wise for us to be doing a
Good
little
night,
bit
Talia.
better
God bless, guys.
for our country. This guy had a dream, and he saw the guardian angel, of course, of our country, saying that we need to be praying, for our country because of all the things that are going on. We've seen how the rich have gotten richer, the poor are poorer. Jeff Bezos, all these guys doing inside selling, Mark Zuckerberg, Michael Dell, Vince McMahon, and Peter Thiel, all these people, while the dollar is losing value, we're seeing, of course, also a number of things going on. And I think this all ties into this prediction. The 7 Mountain, of course, prophecy, which talks about a changing. We're talking of those over the top people over various industries and sectors, including the GOV, education, business, Hollywood, even the church. And I believe we're seeing this happening in real time right now. I believe we're seeing this because we saw the story with Diddy. And I believe because this is a little bit different this time. This isn't the same as the guy with the island. I think this time it's going to play out a lot different. Because he made a lot of tapes and he sold them.
And Diddy hasn't got the political protection that Epstein would have had.
Gave him out of things going on. And his, of course, parties. This isn't the same guy. Okay, the other guy, he had all that stuff for himself. He didn't sell it. He didn't give it out. This guy did. So I think these are going to be snagging a number of people. Celebrities, high up people, kings, princes, all that kind of stuff. And of course, you have also the same stuff happening in Hollywood. You have a number of people losing their job. She-Hulk star Tatiana Maslany, angry over getting cut out of Deadpool and Wolverine. Kind of funny considering she was She-Hulk, so she got angry. Turned green. She's not the only one, of course. Brie Larson was cut out as well. And we're seeing actually this happening everywhere now. We had even Whoopi Goldberg losing millions of dollars because she was just cut out of a ton of Toy Story 5. And that's not it. There's actually more. We had Robert De Niro cut out of Joker 2 partially. The movie still was a failure. But the reason why they're doing all this of recent is because they saw that it does make a difference. If you put these people in these movies, like Robert De Niro, Whoopi Goldberg, Tatiana, or Brie Larson, or even Amber Heard, it can make your movie lose tons of money. They saw it with Aquaman first. They saw it with Phase 4. They saw it with Star Wars Outpost. They saw it actually with a lot of different things of recent. They're like, whoa, wait a second. We can't put these people in the movies anymore. We put them in, we're going to lose a ton of money. So in Aquaman, they lost a couple $100 million. So with Deadpool, they're like, okay, we're just going to cut them both out completely. And they've made a ton of money. And now people have all seen that. All these producers are like, oh, shoot, this works. Just cut them out. So they're all cutting them out now. So this is what I was saying. You have this.
Thank God it's turned the corner.
Changing. You have changing because they need to make money, and they're seeing that these people are making them lose money. So they're being removed. And we're seeing this even in the church. We're even seeing this in the atheist sector, believe it or not, of all places. Richard Dawkins coming out as a cultural believer, which is hilarious, considering he used to make fun of believers. He comes out as a cultural believer.
What would be your Easter message? I mean, I've said a few things. What would you tell the nation?
Well, I must say I was slightly horrified to hear that Ramadan is being promoted instead. I do think that we are culturally a Christian country. I call myself a cultural Christian.
Yeah, he says he's a cultural believer now. The guy, the king of atheism, the top dog.
That's good news, mate. That's nothing to laugh at him about.
The Four Horsemen, Richard Dawkins, is now a cultural Christian. That's what he says. Kind of hilarious to watch. You have also this guy, what's his name? Alex O'Connor. I think he used to call his channel Cosmic Skeptic. He changed his name. Now he's kind of in the middle, riding the fence. I don't know if I believe or not. I'm just an intellectual. It's kind of funny. I'll play this clip real quick.
If our thoughts are the result of some random evolutionary process, why should we believe anything we think is true?
Well, the first thing is that evolution isn't a random process. But that aside,
it's what. Let me put it this way: it's either directed by an outside intelligence or it's not.
Sure. Okay.
If it's not directed by an outside intelligence, then it's random.
Yes.
So he just admitted he was wrong. And it's almost like he didn't even realize he's saying, well, maybe there is a God when he says this. It's just kind of curious when he said that, yeah, so it clearly can't be random. It has to be a God if it's not random, right? This is basically what he's saying. And he actually agreed with it. So you have that. You have also this guy, Stephen Meyer, who was recently on Piers Morgan, basically giving every argument that debunks atheist arguments, apparently, on this broadcast. Piers Morgan putting it out not that long ago. You have, of course, so you have atheists falling. You have church leaders falling. You got Carl Lentz here in a recent interview talking about how could he have a double life, trying to explain that out. You got Stephen Lawson. I've talked about this before on this channel. All these people falling, and I explained it out previously. I think on this channel I explained it. I'm pretty sure I explained this out, why this occurs, and how the devil's actually made. I believe the devil sort of inspired two different big camps in the church. And one of them is like prosperity, miracles, kind of prosperity miracles type of thing. And then you got kind of the logic, scripture, Calvinism, no miracles. So you got miracles, no miracles, logic versus experience. And it's kind of like the devil set this up or sort of inspired it because it should be logic and experience. It should be miracles, right? So you combine it, get rid of all the bad stuff because a house divided against itself cannot stand. First, we saw the prosperity guys falling over here, the prosperity guys falling. Now we're seeing all the Calvinist guys falling. And it's because both sides are flawed. And that's why you see all these recent mega church guys falling, like 8 of them in the summer. 8 people falling in the summer. It's just unbelievable. You had Steve Lawson, one of John MacArthur's henchmen, falling. Tony Evans. You got this guy, Robert Morris. Like, they don't even have a money-back guarantee for their all the people that gave him money, and I got into that in detail. But all of this, I believe, is because sort of this false ideas, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. This is kind of what was the issue with the ones that didn't believe in miracles. They call them cessationists, the John MacArthur types. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. And it says that they have weakness, and that's why you're seeing them fall. They have weakness. It says that right in the passage after that. Ever learning, never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Preaching the houses, lead silly, women away, all this kind of stuff. It's indicating weakness. Even the Shepherd Hermas backs this up, saying the same exact idea. But anyway, that's my video. I'm kind of want to see you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below.
Hi, it's Matt here with my fresh picks of the week. With the Australian mango season underway, we're seeing a quality crop of Calypso mangoes. Calypsos have a soft spot.
Okay, guys, I'm out. God bless. See you tomorrow, guys.